large idea on the horizon. You're surrounded by journalists. Hold your position.
Overnight success. The Blazinator 3000. Double blaze. Right. That's misinformation.
Market clearing order inbound.
That's just wrong.
We are surrounded by journalists. Hold your position.
Bump it up. Trust the experts. Vibe coding. We are experts. Founder mode. Vibe coding.
I see multiple journalists on the horizon. Stand by.
Experts.
UAV online.
Glaze. Double glaze. Triple glaze. Double kill. Vibe code. Wrong. Pump is up. Glaze.
Team deathmatch.
We are experts. Triple glaze. That's just wrong. Right.
Market clearing order inbound.
Come, get up.
We are surrounded by journalists. Hold your position.
Strike one. Strike two. Activate golden retriever mode. Trust the experts.
Market clearing order inbound.
Vibe coded.
I see multiple journalists on the horizon. Stand by.
Founder mode.
You're watching TBPN. Today is Monday, January 12th, 2026. We are live from the TBPN Ultradome, the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital. Ramp.com, time is money, save both,
both.
easy use, corporate cards, bill pay, accounting, and a whole lot more, all in one place. Bunch of fun news out of ramp. They built an AI agent just for internal production.
For the
very
back
cool.
end.
Yeah, we will go into that. But first, we got to pay our respects to the big man, Jerome Powell.
Pull up the anthem.
The anthem.
This is this week's anthem. We've been
week's
blasting it all morning here in the studio.
Yes, it is.
It will make you emotional.
It's a very emotional song.
So trigger warning.
I guess it's AI generated, but it hits.
In a manufactured storm, power turned hostile, the rules deformed. Threats in the open, whispers in halls.
Yeah, we should have gotten lighters for this for sure.
Law turned to leverage.
Of course, this is on the back that the New York Times reports that federal prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation of Jerome Powell. He took to Jerome dropped a video explaining his side of the story. But instead of playing that, we're playing this. Jerome Powell, we carry the flame. Oh, Jerome Powell. I didn't want to cry at the office today, but it's happening. No. Oh, what a story. Powell says the Justice Department served the Fed with subpoenas. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the U.S. Central Bank has been served grand jury subpoenas from the Justice Department threatening a criminal indictment related to his June congressional testimony on ongoing renovations of the Fed's headquarters. In a statement released Sunday evening, Jerome Powell rejected the notion that the action was driven by his testimony or the renovation. Joe Weisenthal has a post here. He says, Powell confirms the Fed has been served subpoenas from the DOJ. Fortunately, we have Tyler Cowen coming on the show today. I'm sure we'll be able to talk to him about that and a whole bunch of other things in the world.
We will be asking him, should we roll the Fed into Truth Social?
That's a good, that's
or
one
World
possibility.
Liberty, or World Liberty Financial,
might
right?
be
We have options.
Might be the most entertaining
Anyway,
outcome. Let's pull up the linear lineup and show everyone who's coming on the show today, because we do have Tyler Cowen. We also have Andrew Feldman from Cerebras coming on the show, and a bunch of other folks. Harley's joining to talk about agentic commerce at
Nathan
Shopify.
from Terra, he's building drones in Africa. Excited for that one. And of course, Harley.
And Ella Marina. And Linear, of course, is the system for modern software development. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. We also might have a surprise guest joining at 12:15, just so you know.
We'll see. Anyways, watching Sunday night, I'm all excited, right?
Yeah.
One more sleep until Monday. And I pull up this video. I've got to watch Jerome...
give a 2-minute talk. On his innocence.
I mean, really dark moment. It was funny. Buco Capital shared, like, if it's illegal to run over budget on a remodel, my wife's getting the electric chair.
You didn't give me the punchline when you said that the first time, but I knew where it was going. But
anyways,
that's wild. Very political, very fraught, but it's created a number of entertaining.
People have been standing up.
People
standing
have
up for
the Federal Reserve Chairman, and fortunately, I mean, the administration sees these. We know that they're very online, and
they're tapped in.
and they see the support. So we'll see where the story
Hoser
evolves.
says, like if you would let Jerome Powell crash on your couch for a few months. So I'm smashing
AI
that.
is really at its best when you need a bunch of memes and images generated around a current thing. Before we do the next one, let me tell you about Restream. One live stream, 30+ destinations. If you want to multi-stream, go to restream.com. They make the show possible.
Rachel just said, you just created 1 million central bankers.
And Jordy said this to me. I just burst out laughing so hard.
It is. I mean, Fed chair, probably one of the worst jobs on earth if you care what other people think about you,
Totally,
right? Because
totally.
it's just like
Yeah.
all the time, people
Yeah.
just have this massive fixation on you, and they're going to form an opinion immediately.
Yeah.
But in this case, I've never seen people so united
Yeah.
around, which is heartwarming.
Yeah.
That's the only.
And it is weird because like the prediction is that there will not be another rate cut in January. There's a lot of people that would benefit from another rate cut. If you're long the market, you would probably benefit. But I think people are generally still fans of Fed independence, and they want Jerome to do whatever's best based on the facts and the data and the unemployment and inflation.
I'm surprised there's no reaction in the from the prediction markets at all. Kalshi still has 94% that the Fed maintains the rate in January.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
Which
you
you'd
would think this
there'd
would
be
move
some-
the needle a little bit because it's.
But at the
he's
same
not backing
time,
down.
he is posting
He's
a
putting
hostage
he's
video
putting a hostage
saying-
video saying, "I'm not leaving. You're gonna have to pry me out with the jaws of life." Merrick says, "Absolute insanity. The Department of Justice just served the Federal Reserve Chair with a grand jury subpoenas threatening criminal indictment over a historic building renovation." And interestingly, I don't know the details of this building, but it's not like the White House where he lives there, right? It's like it's a workplace, I assume. It's not like it's his personal house. It's not
He's
like
not
he-
you. Based on
he's
this,
not
you
a
would
direct
think he was
beneficiary of
using.
this.
Yeah, you would think.
That's what it feels like.
Because the other
Yeah.
the other who was the woman who they also opened an investigation. I'm blanking on her
another
name.
Fed chair.
But in that case, they said like she got a mortgage for a primary residence, but she actually ended
Okay.
up not
Yeah.
living there full time.
Yeah.
Which
Maybe not
again,
on board.
right?
But at least the
that was
the
Lisa
claim.
Cook.
Yeah,
Lisa Cook.
Hopefully she's not cooked. We'll see. Jerome Powell is appealing directly to the American people and bluntly stating that the criminal charges are not about Congress's oversight role, but rather about the Federal Reserve's independence in setting the interest rate. American equities trade at a premium because of our respect for law, accountability, and central bank independence. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do with integrity and commitment to serving the American people. On a Sunday evening before market open. What is the market doing? We should go over to public.com, investing for those who take it seriously. We got stocks, options, bonds, crypto, treasuries, and more, all with great customer service.
S&P 500 is green.
Green, yeah.
So, anyways,
Last
I
week,
think
S&P
everybody
was up
expected last
1.5%.
night for things to happen.
Yeah.
Of course,
Nothing
ever happens. But we'll see. In some ways, this will just give the DOJ and the admin more confidence in their decision. Although they did come out and say like the
Yes.
White House had nothing to do with it.
Yes. Trump said, I'm not pressuring. He said something like, I wouldn't even think to pressure him on this particular angle. He's saying, I might post something on Truth Social about where I think the interest rate should be. He's free to do with that what he will. So I'm sure the story will evolve and there will be a lot of reporting on it. Eddie Elfenbein says, what are you in for? I gave imprecise information to Congress about the scope of renovations to the Federal Reserve's HQ.
Trey in the chat says the funniest thing is the Fed renovation is self-funded.
Oh, yeah, by the actual Fed because it makes enough money. I think they make a bunch of money. Don't they make money printing coinage? I think that or is that the Mint? Is the Mint part of the Fed? I don't know. But I know that there's a number of government programs that are all self-funded. Not all of them are taxpayer money pits. The CIA's InQtel, for example, is not from the CIA's budget. It makes money because they invest in companies and they put that money back to work. Very interesting.
Bubble Boy says, I'm willing to die for the Federal Reserve. So he is Jerome's strongest soldier.
Bubble Boy's standing up. 2,000 likes. A lot of people are coming out in favor of Jerome Powell. Quickly, Graphite. Code review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. Go check out Graphite.
Geiger Capital. Powell watching stocks turn green after thinking the market would defend him.
Isn't that Biden?
Yeah, the tough thing is like if you assume that rates are going to come down, like you don't exactly want to sell assets.
Yeah.
You want to own assets.
There's this weird dynamic where you might not like what's happening politically, but there's a big difference between what should happen and what will happen, positive and normative analysis. And so if you could be like, I don't like the fact that, the Fed's going to be less independent, but if it means that interest rates are going to come down, then that's bullish. That's a bullish catalyst. And so you wind up going long. Marco Rubio is finding out he has to be chairman of the Federal Reserve. I haven't followed the Marco Rubio meme too closely. I just know that he has a lot of jobs or keeps getting tapped for things. And so I've seen him in an astronaut outfit. I've seen him in, different Venezuelan memes. I don't exactly know where this all came from, but I'm familiar with the concept of Marco Rubio doing everything, I guess. I don't really.
Yeah, it's somewhat depressing because it just means like if you're in the inner circle, you're gonna get a lot of responsibility, and if you're out, you will eventually get the laser beam of the admin.
Well, gold is through the roof today.
Silver
Joe Weisenthal
as well.
posts a chart. Gold jumped from 45.10 to 45.85. Not a huge move, but a huge move for gold, of course. So people are bailing on the U.S. dollar potentially. Silver's also up, says the Kobayashi letter. Silver surges above $85 an ounce for the first time in history. It's already up 19% in 2026. There's been a number of hard tech founders have commented on the fact that silver is actually more of an important material than gold in manufacturing of the semiconductor supply chain, a lot of different AI supply chains. And so there's an interesting narrative of like the knock-on effects of high silver prices.
Yeah.
The nothing ever happens. This is nothing ever happens on steroids. I've never seen so much nothing ever happens, says Mike Bird, because the S&P 500 is up on the news of chaos in the financial markets potentially. Very odd scenario. Anyway, CrowdStrike. Your business is AI. Their business is securing it. CrowdStrike secures AI and stops breaches. The Apple Vision Pro is in the news because, and I think we can pull up this video maybe of Trung Fan posted this. Mark Gurman was a big fan of this. Apple Vision Pro announced you can now watch a full NBA game in the Vision Pro, not just a little highlight reel, not just a trailer. And Mark Gurman asked the question, is the total addressable market for watching tonight's Lakers game in the Apple Vision Pro just me, or is anyone else tuning in? A couple of people said, I haven't booted mine up for a year. They still have it. They did turn it on. He wound up loving it.
Have they ever done this before?
They've never done a full game. So they've done MLS highlights. You could watch like an 8-minute summary of an MLS game that had a ton of different cuts. A lot of people were not fans of that.
This release cadence needs to be studied.
It's crazy. And I mean, that's what Ben Thompson wrote about today in Stratechery. He sees all this as like crazy own goals, a lot of really obvious things. Also, the reason that you see this video so grainy like this, so Mark Gurman loved it in the headset. He said it's absolutely wild. It's like watching courtside. Trung Fan has the video here. You can't record what's happening in the headset. You can't just steal an NBA game so you need to like put your phone up against it, and you don't really experience it here because for DRM reasons you can't just pirate it. You can't just record what you're seeing. So the actual experience is better than this. I actually went to the Apple Store yesterday to try and pick up a Vision Pro to experience this, and they were sold out. And I don't know if that means that they were just like not expecting to sell anymore, so they stopped stocking them. But they didn't have one. But I've played with the Vision Pro.
I mean, I would wait to. The real review would be getting the Apple Vision Pro, going to the actual game, getting the ticket right next to the system that they're using, and then just having the headset on and taking it on
at the game.
Yeah, at the game. Right? You want to see how real it is.
Tyler, what would you do?
Well, so. This is cool because it's like emulating like what is happening in real life. But in VR, you can do like things that like you couldn't do in real life. So like I want to see what is the point of view like if I'm the ball.
You'd probably be so motion sick.
I want to be the ball.
That sounds terrible.
No one
ball wants to be the ball.
I know ball.
Matthew Ball or who's the other ball?
Dean Ball.
Dean Ball.
Dean Ball.
We haven't gotten Matthew Ball on the show yet. We need him. He's a great analyst. Anyway, so Ben Thompson wrote about this because he's obviously a huge NBA fan. Also, he's a Milwaukee Bucks fan, and the game was the Lakers versus the Bucks. So this is like a royal flush of like the sweet spot for Ben Thompson analysis. He had to jump through VPN hoops to watch the broadcast because it was only available in Lakers' home market, which is California, also Hawaii, and I think one other state. So it's somewhat tricky. Yeah.
You can't.
No. If you're in New York and you had a Vision Pro, you could not watch the Lakers play the Bucks unless you had a VPN. Yeah, there's a lot of details here, and
That's a huge detail.
I know.
You're like, I have this $3,000 device
Yeah.
that is just gathering dust.
Yeah.
And then you make this big deal about this amazing experience that I can have. And then if I'm not actually within
Yes,
the area
yes.
that the game is actually taking place, I can't experience it. What's the point of VR?
So there are a lot of reasonable critiques like that. Ben puts a lot of those in his piece. I think that there are logical reasons. I don't think Apple is dumb. I don't think they just made a mistake. I think these are all contract negotiations. And when we look at the history of sports and transitions through various eras of broadcast and new technologies, I think their decision-making makes a little bit more sense, even though I agree from a user experience perspective, what you're saying, what Ben Thompson is saying, makes a ton of sense. So Apple clearly reads Stratechery. They've sent him multiple headsets. He bought his own, but they keep sending him to him being like, hey, you should try it. Like, we're coming out with something new. So they've sent him the new one, the M5 Vision Pro, and he was ready to watch this. He was ready to love this, but he was very disappointed because it cut from one scene to another, and so that takes you out of the experience. He says, do away with all of the pre-show, special announcer, post-show content. Just let me put on the headset, and if I put it on 30 minutes before the game starts, I'll just watch the players warm up. And then you don't need any overlays because if I want to know the score, I'll just look up at the scoreboard. Like this, you're in the theater. Like people pay a lot of money to sit courtside, and they're not like, I'm
having a bad experience
please give me an iPad with the score on it. No one cares. They just look at the score. They hear the audience. If something great happens, they hear the roar of the crowd. They see everything. They can even look up at the screen and usually see a replay if they need to. And so all of that should be possible with just one simple Apple immersive camera rig streamed the whole game. And that's it. Instead, they did 4 different camera angles. They're cutting between them. And every time they cut, you get kind of like, whoa, like, where am I? Like, I just teleported. It's weird.
Yeah.
So my question was like, so Ben frames this as, he calls it Apple. You still don't understand the Vision Pro. He's like taking shots at them. And I titled my piece, Apple, they actually do understand the Vision Pro, and I think they've heard his response. They've clearly read his piece. He wrote about this maybe 2 years ago when he got a demo before it even came out, and he said the secret to success with this product will just be put a camera on the field, let me sit there front courtside. That's it. No editing, nothing else. And then every time they delivered him something that was edited, he wrote a piece about how bad the editing was and how you don't need that, and just let me sit there. And so my question was. There's no one that really disagrees with Ben. Like Ben comes out and says these things every time there's an Apple Vision Pro piece of content that comes out. He comes out and says, too many edits, too many cuts, just let us sit there. And there's not like there's a lot of people that are like, Ben's wrong. Actually, I love the edits. More edits. Like they need to be even correct.
Well, to be clear, no one's talking about.
No one's talking about Apple except for Ben, basically. So they should clearly listen to him. And no one's arguing that Ben's wrong. But my question is like, why on earth isn't Apple doing this? Why, or at least why haven't they made it an option? Like they have the single camera there. They could just be like, do you want to watch the edited version? Or do you want to watch just the normal, just sit there in the seat version?
Yep.
And then Ben would be happy and he'd be writing a glowing review right now. Instead, Apple's not giving what Stratechery wants, and they're feeling the pain because they got an article that was not very complimentary to them in the experience. So I think that this actually has less to do with the technology, less to do with the creative direction and the directorial vision within Apple, and more with just straight up contract negotiations. So, and if you go back in history, Ben goes back to some other history. I went back to 1947. So TV adoption, I didn't realize this. TV adoption went through a fast takeoff. For 1947, there were 16,000 TV sets installed in America. 8 years later, it was 32.5 million. It's like
Wow.
completely asymptotic, completely fast takeoff. So the technology trend was clear, but there was still financial risk to getting the timing wrong for your league. The NFL is obviously a huge beneficiary of TV today. They make a fortune from the Super Bowl ads that are extremely expensive. But in 1949, the Los Angeles Rams, because the Rams are in LA now, but they went to St. Louis and then they came back, but they were in Los Angeles in 1949. They sort of got wrecked because they jumped too early. So the NFL had gone to all the franchises, said, all the teams, we're giving you the permission to sell your broadcast rights this year. This season, if you want to put your particular team's home games on TV, you can do that. You can go out and negotiate. You can sell those. It's an option.
Yeah.
And the Rams said, yeah, we'll do it. We'll take the jump. They were the only one that did it, and it sort of makes sense since they're in LA. There's a lot of production people here. It would be a natural.
They were a little too TV pilled.
They were extremely TV pilled, and they got burned. So attendance dropped significantly. On an inflation-adjusted basis, they lost $2.5 million of today's dollars. And so the Rams had to go to all the sponsors that sponsor the TV broadcast and say, like, hey, can you just make us whole because we're going to go out of business? And they did, and the sponsors basically paid the Rams for the difference in what they had taken in ticket sales. But it was not a good outcome. And although the NFL eventually got through all of this and figured it all out, that was not the case for minor league baseball. Minor league baseball attendance at minor league league events, peaked in 1949, right during the TV install base fast takeoff. And so 49 million people went to minor league events that year in 1949. By 1957, the total had dropped to 15 million. So it actually did wreck the minor leagues in terms of like their business model, and they never really recovered. And so the job of a league commissioner is to get the transition right. Like if you transition too early, you'll have a really, really bad year while everyone just says, hey, I can just do the new thing, the new technology. I don't need to buy the tickets. If you do it too late, other leagues might have figured out their contracts, their ad sales, their broadcast rights, all this other stuff. So Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, who we learned about through his connection to Josh Kushner, of course, he said, I think it's my job to incentivize our partners to be able to look out into the future. He's not saying, hey, my job's to get everyone out of the stadiums and into VR headsets ASAP. Like the end result is like there is a separation between immersive rights and presence rights. So there's broadcast rights, and effectively they're using the same framework. So when they sell a broadcast right, they're not selling the right to, they're selling the right to broadcast with an announcer, with multiple cameras, with different cuts and edits. They're not selling you're teleported into the stadium.
Yeah.
And that's something that they might sell, but they haven't sold yet. And I think they're deliberate about this. And so I think when they went to Apple, they said, yes, we can do something. Because they did a deal with Meta, and you can watch a number of NBA games in the Meta Quest, and it's the same thing. They cut around, even though, and the reviews are bad. Everyone says it sucks. And so it's obvious that the tech companies should, Google, how did people like this? And it's obvious, no, people don't like it. But I think the NBA is holding fast that they're like, no, actually, our courtside seats are really, really, really expensive, and we want to keep it that way. We don't want it to be substitutive on day one. And Ben Thompson, when he first wrote about the Apple Vision Pro, he said, I would pay thousands of dollars a year for an NBA League Pass that allowed me to, in VR, sit courtside. And that's less money than courtside seats to every single NBA game, which is effectively what you're selling. So, and then how many Ben Thompsons are there? People with Apple Vision. And so there's financial risk there. I think it can work out. I think that there's a deal and there's a price and there's a number. The install base gets to this level and you price it at this level. And
I think
I
think in some ways they could very easily be two wildly different consumers.
Yeah.
Like Ben is probably like, Ben Thompson knows ball. He wants to be able to watch courtside for the love of the game.
Yep.
Whereas somebody that's going courtside at the Lakers or the Knicks, they're going there to be seen watching courtside, right? And
a little bit of
they're
that.
willing to you're not just paying to watch basketball, right? Because you could pay a fraction to sit a couple rows back.
Yeah.
You're paying to be sitting courtside, right?
Yeah. I think the other interesting angle is this like region lock thing. It almost feels weirder to allow someone in Los Angeles to watch the LA Lakers play because they really could just buy a ticket and go down to the stadium. Yeah. But maybe you should actually be trying to get.
That's the whole point. If you're like a diehard Lakers fan, but you don't live in Southern California, and then somebody says, "Hey, with the Apple Vision Pro." You can watch it like you're courtside. That's great.
Yeah, what you actually want is like Ben Thompson's in Milwaukee. He loves the Bucks, but they're playing in LA. He's not going to buy a flight to go courtside in LA, and so you let him experience that game. And then when they're back in Milwaukee, he can go get the courtside seats in his hometown. So you almost want to do the inverse region lock, something like that. I don't know. What do you think, Tyler?
Wait, so is that deal where it's just a broadcast, not the actual like live stream? Is that basically every single league? Like, can you do the same thing in F1?
So
because that's also like I feel like that would be everyone wants that. You're in the cockpit.
So every deal is unique, and there's no. There are some laws around sports broadcasting and that sort of solidified like the blackout periods and made some of that define some like legal language around that. But really, it's up to the leagues to decide how they negotiate these contracts, whether every game's available, only home games are available, region locking blackout dates. There's all sorts of mechanics where, I don't know how true this is today, but I know that if you have a home stadium and it's full, then you can be much more permissive with the broadcast rights because you've sold out all your tickets. But if you're not selling out the stadiums, then often you won't broadcast as much, or you can't broadcast as much. So you'll be in your hometown and you'll go to watch the game, and it won't be broadcast because they want you to just go buy a ticket. And then the equilibrium, like the market clearing price, is that people that are on the fence who are like, I really wanted to watch the game, I can't watch it here, I'll just go buy a ticket. And then over time you fill it out. Yeah.
You're going to be very excited about this.
Please.
Ben Thompson's going to join the show.
Really?
Now.
No way. Yeah. Amazing. That's fantastic.
Someone in the chat earlier said you're Ben Thompson's biggest fan.
I am.
And you are.
I am.
We are.
That's amazing. Oh, fantastic.
So we're working on getting Ben on.
Fantastic.
To continue the discussion.
Okay, yeah, this will be a lot more extra context because he is the expert in this. In the meantime, let me tell you about AppLovin, profitable advertising made easy with Axon.ai. Get access to over 1 billion daily active users and grow your business today. Maduro, we're back in politics land, but don't worry, not for long, because we're going into watch land, because he was caught rocking a Chopard Ganesh, a fantastic Indian watch that is incredibly detailed. Look at all these different Swiss-made. This is a crazy. I feel like this is sort of a lost art. You know, maybe Mark Zuckerberg should get into this. Wear a watch that has, Sweet Baby Ray's on the dial. Sweet Baby Ray's Chopard dial might go incredibly hard. I would love that. Also, it was the Golden Globes. I know Jordy didn't watch because you probably haven't seen any of these movies, but they did, in fact, happen yesterday. Rob Report has some images of the best watches at the Golden Globes. If the Golden Globes were any indication, subtle is officially on hiatus, says the Rob Report. This year's red carpet made a strong case for statement watches with bold dials.
Did we kind of call
diamonds.
this originally with the show?
Did we?
Okay, yeah. The joke early on was like quiet luxury is over.
Yes. Loud opulence.
Not loud opulence.
A lot of these are screaming loud opulence. In fact, I need to return to my. Let's start with the beginning of the slideshow. We need to return to our original statements about the value of loud opulence, because I see these and I'm like, I couldn't pull these off with my life depended on it. But The Rock was spotted watching a Chopard, much like Maduro. But this one is the Alpine Eagle Frozen Summit. Look at all those diamonds.
I like it, but I'd like to see. I mean, could we get at least a couple more
diamonds
on here?
I think it's a little understated. He could have gone with, the rainbow one, the gem set. It's the Rolex with all the different colored diamonds. Who else is wearing fine luxury watches at the Golden Globes? Adam Scott was wearing a Vacheron Constantin Traditionnel Perpetual Calendar Ultra.
This is nice.
That's a very nice watch. I like that one a lot. I also like this Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra that Glenn Powell was seen wearing.
Mark Andreessen notoriously
he's an Omega guy.
Omega guy.
That's right.
New fund. Maybe
Yes.
this was a nod from Glenn saying like, "I salute
Hat
you."
tip.
Hat tip.
Yes, he's celebrating the $15
$15
billion. He probably read the Packy piece.
Yep.
And he says, you know what? It's time to put on the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra. In terms of Omega Seamasters, this one stands out to me. Gold is a choice, but I think it's working very well here. And you know who else is wearing a Omega Seamaster? George Clooney. Also an Aquaterra.
I would love
with a slightly
to know the
different
details
vibe.
of Omega and Rolex and the other brands fighting over people like Clooney, right? Because I don't think Clooney's putting on a watch without getting paid.
Okay, well, we have Ben Thompson in the Restream waiting room. Let's bring him into the TBPN Ultra Dome. Fantastic. Ben, how are you doing?
Here he is.
Good.
Thanks so much for hopping on the show in such short notice. I loved your piece.
I have takes to drop. So
Please.
I am.
Let's
here
go.
and ready
Let's
to
go.
deliver.
Okay, so drop your first takes, and then I want to know: is there anything to what I was saying that Apple actually does read your work and they do want to do it, but they just can't because of some contract?
Oh, I thought you were talking about watches.
Oh no, I was talking about watches. What's on the wrist, Ben?
I have a Tudor GMT.
Very
nice.
nice.
Very basic.
Yeah, that's great.
But highly recommended. Tudor's a
Yes,
great place.
and it's covered in diamonds, I assume, like the rocks.
It is not. It is very basic with a rubber band because rubber bands rule.
Ooh, okay, rubber band. That's good. Yeah,
So I disagree with your take.
please.
So my overall view, NBA was on the Vision Pro on Friday.
Yeah.
They had an NBA clip when they launched the Vision Pro. So I was there when they launched it, so I got to try it that day.
Yeah.
They took that clip out
Yeah.
for the demo that shipped, and that was in Apple stores.
Mm-hmm.
So you only saw that clip if you were there the first day.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it was the rights issues, which maybe lends itself to your argument or whatever
Sure.
it might be. But that was for sure. It was like 3 seconds.
Yep.
It was the clip that sold me on the Vision Pro more than anything because you felt like you were there. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So they finally have a live sports thing, which is a big deal. They demonstrated that they can show stuff live, and
Yeah.
it worked. It worked well. I don't think there was any technical issues. The cameras are quite small now compared to what they used to be.
Yeah.
You could see them on like the sideline table and underneath the basket. So this technology works. You can watch things live in the Vision Pro, and it should be amazing, and it sucked. and it sucked because you're getting jerked around all the time.
Yeah.
You're there, you feel like you're there. It is immersive. The unimmersive part is the Apple part, which is some producer in a truck is moving you around. There's a pregame show. I don't need a pregame show. I'm sitting courtside. I can watch the players warm up.
Yeah.
And the reason why I disagree with your take that Apple knows this and wants to do it is that every Vision Pro video has the same problem.
Okay.
The Metallica video, super cool. You walk in, the opening scene of that is amazing. Well, there's the little bit where they're in like the green room or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're walking behind James Hetfield, and you're in the crowd. And it's like he's walking through and people are reaching, and it's like, it's so amazing. And then suddenly he's going up the stairs and boom, you're jerked to somewhere else and you're seeing him come on the stage. You go back, they cut this MLS video, which they have the rights for. They're overpaying. You want to talk about the F1 deal? Look how much Apple's paying MLS. Like, one of the most absurd overpays in the history of sports. I think they can do whatever they want. They cut I love laugh tracks, but it's very distracting to hear.
Sorry.
They cut like a season in review video that had like 56 cuts in it. It's like
Okay.
Like done
What do
by
you think it is?
a
Do you think it's
YouTuber on crack.
Do you think it's production teams that are just trying to create work for themselves because if they go in there, they're like, "Hey, boss, actually, the people just want to they just want to put the goggles on and hang out." It's like, well, then what are you doing here?
I feel like there's just a lack of confidence here. It feels very like it feels. When you say it, it's like half-assed that we're going to go out, we're just going to set a camera there, and you can sit there and watch the game. It's like, no, there's this pressure, in part because it's not popular. It has to be a big production. We have to have a pregame show. We have to have dedicated announcers. We have to do all these things. The end result is you get 6 games, which are physically uncomfortable to watch because you're getting jerked around. And, like, they could have just the Vision Pro there for every game, and I would pay a lot of money to watch that. They could have it at every concert. And what's amazing is it, number one, it would make it better. I'm fully convinced of this.
Yeah.
And number two, it would solve their content problem because you could suddenly have tickets to every single concert in the world. to every single game in the world. It is a classic tech issue where you put in the upfront cost, you buy the cameras, you install them, and you have marginal upside forever, everywhere. And it's latching onto a major trend, which is live. Which is this idea that when everything's commoditized online, everything's digital, live experiences are worth more and more and more. Like you go back to like the Eras tour and Taylor Swift, like as a big topic of discussion at that point, because like this is something people are. And
sports specifically are like pretty immune to AI because nobody wants to watch like the AI Bucks play.
Right, no one wants to watch
Lakers.
AI basketball, right? Yeah, it's the human aspect of it.
And I don't think it's
compelling.
the thing that was the most crazy to me is that it was like geo locked to Southern California.
I get that. I'm not gonna like bag on them for that but part of it, the reason why it was geo-locked is because Spectrum spent all the money to do all this production.
Sure.
And so of course they get the benefit. It's in their catchment area. But you don't need to do all that. They're overthinking this. Like literally set a camera on the sideline and do nothing else. I will be happy as a clam.
Okay. It is expensive to do immersive production. At the same time, Blackmagic has the Ursa Cine Immersive that, have you seen this thing? 2 fisheye lenses on the front, 16K. It costs $30,000. And it feels like if this is the case, there has to be an opportunity for someone who's a little more agile, maybe it's Red Bull, maybe it's some league that's not front and center, to just go and do this. They have to pay $30K up front and then stream
expensive? It. Yeah, $30K is nothing, okay?
Yeah.
Like we're all in the tech industry. We can laugh at figures like that, okay? Yeah. But that's an upfront investment. Like the problem is they tacked on all these marginal costs to this production.
Yeah.
So when you logged on for the game, there was a dedicated pregame host and show for the Apple Vision Pro viewers.
That's almost certainly not going to be as good as the main pregame show.
I know.
Yeah.
Where they're paying like hundreds of millions of dollars.
What?
Is sitting courtside and watching NBA players warm up and make 57 threes in a row because they're incredible.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have ever sat courtside, but like it's amazing. Like,
it's amazing.
Speaking of watches, this is where I spend my watch money. Okay. It's an unbelievable experience, and they have all for example, they have like replays in there.
Yeah.
Which yes, you can see the benefit of replays. You know where else they show replays? On the scoreboard. How can I see the scoreboard? I can look up because I'm wearing a Vision Pro that's immersive and has this fisheye camera where I can see all around it. I don't need a scoreboard bug down at the bottom. I can look at the scoreboard. Like I actually, during the game while watching it, it was actually kind of hard to see the scoreboard bug because it was way down at the bottom.
Sure.
So I was looking at the scoreboard in the arena the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. You're there. And so all that stuff, the pregame show, they had dedicated play-by-play announcers and analysts for the Vision Pro. They had these multiple cameras. They had a production truck who's choosing, how can I upset Ben this time? And every like 3 seconds changing the other cameras. You didn't need any of that. Okay. And you $30,000 is a one-time cost.
Yeah.
You spend that money once and you put these cameras in every arena for every game, everywhere, and then you suddenly have this exclusive selling tickets to live events in a way no one else can. I think it's a huge, it seems so clear to me. This is the Vision Pro use case. This is your portal to every live event in the world.
What do you think about Meta's efforts on live
NBA
sports?
Partnership as well?
Specifically with Oculus.
The Vision Pro is better.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Oculus has advantages relative to the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Actually, I love Mark Zuckerberg's post when the Vision Pro came out. It's like, oh, we're not surprised. We could have done that, but we didn't, which was valid.
Yeah.
I'm also not particularly interested in the use cases that are good for that. I don't care about gaming. I don't care about a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
This is, for me, the killer use case, for sure. Being able to...
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like the next Quest, if they stay in VR, will be better. We talked to James Cameron, and it seemed like he was pretty excited that they might have gotten the same screen from the Apple Vision Pro. They're 2 years behind, but you bring that screen into the next Quest 4.
Which is fine, but there's trade-offs for that as far as number of pixels and the field of view and all those sorts of things. But the whole point is that $3,500 feels overwhelming, for what you get. $3,500 to be able to attend any sporting event in person is one of the greatest deals of all time.
Yeah.
Like
How do you think they should?
I used to be in Taiwan.
Yeah.
I would fly over for specific games.
Yeah.
Like, and guess what? I would spend more than $35 on my ticket. I'm not flying the back of the bus at this point. Sorry. Like, and so it's like when the Apple Watch, when they realized, it's fitness. Remember they launched with all these lists of different things and what you could remember you could draw in your Apple Watch and it would draw.
The heartbeat texting to send someone a heartbeat. That never went.
Who's
right?
the Apple exec that's the most hardcore NBA fan? Because I feel like you got
Eddie Q. I know how much Golden State tickets cost because I sat. Well, I actually, I was poor, so I was in the second row behind the seat that was inscribed with Eddie Q's name on it. He's the guy that needs to argue for this.
Okay, so do you think this is a next season they might get it right? Are they already pre-baked on the next? Because they have 4 more games. It feels like they could take this. They have the footage. Like they could just not edit the next game, not do that broadcast, and do exactly what you're prescribing.
I hope so. Look, free advice, Apple. This is your. That's why I've written this. So number one, the reason I disagree with your take is because every video they make suffers from this problem. They are produced in a TV style for a device that is fundamentally different than TV. Yeah. That's the core problem.
But is there at least a possibility that Metallica also said, "Hey, we don't want a substitutive effect. We don't want people teleporting."
Yeah, it's so funny to think.
And MLS did the same thing. But there's a meme behind the scenes.
Lots of other videos. They made lots of other, every video they have suffers from
even the Alicia Keys thing.
Can you imagine if the NBA actually sold a ticket where every 30 seconds you had to stand up and go
move.
watch from a different view? It's they're like, it's amazing. You see every angle. You're like, please, sir, I just want to sit and watch the game.
I turned it off. I watched half the game on TV because it was uncomfortable.
What do you think is the long-term viewing ideal viewing experience? Is it you have it on TV and you have your Apple Vision and you're kind of based on how closely you're paying attention, you're either locked in with the Vision Pro on or you have it on the whole time?
I think that a big thing for sure, the biggest missing experience is, of course, I want to be on my phone half the time, any
being there in person. Yeah.
I do have the M5 Vision Pro. It's the first time I ever took a demo unit. I've always declined to do that, but I'm there's no way on earth I'm paying for this. But I do actually want to see if there's any difference. My biggest takeaway is the pass through is much better. This might be. I didn't do a direct compare. That was just sort of my perception. And to be honest, I haven't used a Vision Pro in a long time, so who knows how good my memory is. The pass-through was really good. I had no issue using my phone at all. It did seem better than it used to be. But maybe that might be placebo, just to be clear.
Getting screen time through another screen is elite.
It's electric.
It's we got levels.
Wait, so your screen time app could potentially show more than 160
That's right. I had 26 hours. I had 26 hours.
26 hours today because I was in the Vision Pro using my phone, my laptop.
That's right.
What a world! What a world! That's funny. Are you optimistic about any other Apple Vision Pro opportunities? Because I was looking at this $30,000 immersive camera, and I was thinking I was actually advising some friends who they shoot a much more evergreen podcast, these really definitive interviews. And I was saying maybe you should start They were shooting in 8K because they were like, hey, maybe one day we'll license these to Netflix. We want the extra resolution. We're not distributing in 8K, but we have it now. And I was saying, well, you want to go further? Why not 16K? Why not immersive? Maybe you should get this thing, start recording now. Now, this particular device can only record for 45 minutes, I think, and then you have to swap the cards or whatever. But I was like, maybe you should be doing the flow, maybe not this year, but maybe next year. Is there some opportunity where someone who's independent comes in? Yeah,
there's lots of opportunities. And I think there's real enterprise opportunity, for especially with the pass through and things that you can do on those lines. There's productivity sort of possibilities, but you need what is the anchor thing? What is it everyone knows that this does? Yeah. And again, I think the Apple Watch is a good example here. It took them a while to get to that. They launched with the physical fitness stuff, but it wasn't clear that was the thing for a few years. And now every Apple Watch thing is fitness. It saves your life and, all those sorts of things. And to me, this is it. It is you get live in your living room. That's the Vision Pro pitch.
That's going to be fun. We'll just have to wait another 5 years for them to back down from their opinions.
We're gonna find out that they have like
you did write this
1,000
2 years ago. Like
no, I wrote
so
this
long.
the day I wrote this the day it launched. I said, what's amazing about this is you don't need production. All I want is to feel like I'm there, and it delivers. It lets you. Of course, you don't know you're there. The resolution isn't perfect. There is a bit of tearing if you go super fast. Like the peripheral vision's not perfect, but it is. It's amazing. It's an incredible experience that no one else can match. Quest can a little bit, but the Vision Pro, in part because Apple invented these cameras. Like Blackmagic is making them, but it's Apple's whole format. It's Apple like created the whole thing.
Pipeline.
And it just feels like this is a company that it's like a lack of confidence. You let the device do what the device can do. Stop trying to like overdo it. Step back. Just step back and let it do its thing. And I'm more convinced than ever. I've been having this take a few times. I wrote about the MLS thing. I wrote after the Metallica thing. I put it on the front page of Stratechery today. I'm like, look, no one in the world cares about this device other than me.
I know.
But I'm desperate for someone to read this. So there's no paywall. You don't need to get it forwarded to you. Just read this.
And they had to do the Bucks too. It's so funny. It's
I know.
The
like
first one, it was
me.
royal flush for you. I have a meta question about just being in a position to review new technology and having to deal with like the Pepsi challenge. Are you familiar with the Pepsi challenge story?
I am. I'm Gen X. I'm very old.
Okay, yeah. So the Pepsi challenge, for those who don't know, they had people taste a 1 ounce cup of Coca-Cola, 1 ounce cup of Pepsi, and overwhelmingly the random people that came and tested said the Pepsi tasted better. And what the result was that Pepsi was sweeter, so it tasted better over 1 ounce, but over 16 ounces, a full can, it was more like 50-50, and people actually did prefer the Coca-Cola. And I feel like with a lot of hardware devices, you put it on for 10 minutes, it's amazing. You put it on for half an hour, it's incredible. But then pretty quickly, the big tech executives say, oh, that's enough of the demo, let's talk to you about something else. Now write your review based on 30 minutes, and it's a very different experience than 2 weeks, a month, seeing if it collects dust, seeing if you churned. And I'm wondering just how you deal with that mentally, where you have to talk about something, but at the same time, you're not getting you haven't been able to spend a year with a product.
No, it's a good point. So my way to deal with that is I generally don't do product reviews.
Sure.
So that makes it much easier.
Yeah.
I think with the Vision Pro though is a great example of this phenomena.
Yeah.
It is like the first 30 minutes of using a Vision Pro is one of the most mind-blowing experiences of your life, and it continues to be.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got it, I actually had. I felt perfect follow on from the watch segment because I'm feeling like a total douche this thing. I had my assistant. I had it shipped to his house and had him fly to Taiwan to bring it to me.
Oh yeah,
because it was only available in the U.S.
Yeah,
and I remember actually I was going. I think this is awful. This is so embarrassing. I was going on a ski trip like a week later. So I'm up there, and I remember I'm sitting in this bar up in Niseko, and I'm like. All the ski instructors, like, because I was friends with, I had the same guy for many years. He brought all his friends over. They're all trying this. I honed my whole demo script, and like we still talk about this afternoon with the Vision Pro in this bar in Niseko. Try it, and it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. But then, what do you do with it? Right? Like that's the big question. What I will say in the Vision Pro's defense is, even now, I don't use it very often. Every time I put it on, though. I'm like, this is so cool. Yeah. Like it retains that aspect of there's something magical about this experience. It's just searching for that ongoing reason to come back, that use case. And that comeback use case needs to be something that only it can deliver. The productivity things are cool. The
other thing I think is really real is like, maybe from Apple's side, like they have this device, it has so much potential, it's so exciting, it's so cool, and then it's almost disappointing that like, okay, the use case is just like live sports, right? Because they're like, we want to create the next computing paradigm. But the reason that it actually is an incredible niche is that like, what's more mainstream than bread and circuses, right?
Well, not just that,
what's more mainstream than sports?
It's a chicken and egg problem. You like the way you get those productivity experiences and those new things that weren't possible before is you have a large install base that draws developers in to create those experiences. But to get there, it needs to be a market. So you need sort of the initial use case to create, like this is why the iPhone was the greatest platform ever. Everyone needed a phone. Yeah. So you got that built-in sort of advantage so that developers, like they didn't have to do anything to earn developers. They just shipped a better phone.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like if you create this amazing live sports experience, you get 1 million people that are using it multiple times a week. And then they're using it, they're watching together. It's a social thing. Then they can be asking
I don't know if it's a social thing.
Yeah.
If you see what I look like, I don't grab, I'd put it on. I don't look very social.
No, but I'm talking about more like maybe you have a FaceTime call open with a buddy in the headset and you're watching it together, you're hanging out watching the game or something like that.
Well,
and then
I would just say I think it's the Vision Pro is more of a single player experience. Sure. But what is the biggest single player market in the world? Productivity. Like when I'm doing work, like I'm on my own working on it. Right now, I have 4 monitors. Like I'm one of those crazy people. Like a Vision Pro, I wish I would have brought it with me last summer when I went back to Taiwan because I was actually doing work and I was working on my laptop and it was terrible. Like, oh, I can't believe I didn't bring this. This was the perfect use case for me to use it. But by and large, I don't need it. But if there were particular apps or use cases that were uniquely enabled by it, maybe that would be a reason. But you're only going to get those by drawing in developers. You're only going to get developers by having an addressable market that is worth putting the investment into, which means this is one of my big theses on Stratechery. It's always been a question on tech, chicken or egg. What comes first, the device, the platform, or the developers? I was at Microsoft with Windows 8. I spent a lot of time and spent a lot of Microsoft's money getting developers. That doesn't work. What matters is demand. Demand pulls in developers. You need the users, which means you need the core use case to sell a bunch of devices, and then you can start the virtuous cycle. To me, the core use case for the Vision Pro, if anyone remembers it exists, and I'm not sure that Apple executives do, is live. Yeah. Live in your living room. You do
so
that,
true. I have a buddy.
A bunch of devices, and then you pull people in.
I have a buddy, TJ, who worked at Apple at one point. When the Vision Pro was announced, he got it. He was so excited. He was like, "I'm going to spend the next 3 years building products for the Vision Pro." How long did he last? He lasted like
3 months.
Yeah, like no, like less. He was like, "What's the point of What's the point of building for?" He's super talented, but what's the point of building if there's nobody there? Right. It's not.
You mentioned the 4 monitors. Are you going in on the 52-inch Dell 6K monitor?
No.
Why not?
Way too low resolution.
Way too low resolution.
Actually, I lied. No, I'm actually on the 5th monitor right now, just for podcasts. So I have 2 4K monitors on my laptop. I have with that LG like square screen.
Oh,
super
yeah.
useful. It is relatively low resolution. But then for podcasts, I have a 55-inch TV here. So.
Okay, staying on Apple, Gemini, the Gemini Siri news dropped this morning. It had been kind of previously reported, so in some ways it's old news. What are you expecting out of like this new version of Siri?
Well, the bar is 55 feet underground, so I expect it to be a lot better. No, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's now that the federal courts have approved Google and Apple combining to rule the world, Google has the infrastructure to support the scale of Apple. They know how to work together. They've worked together for years. They're very natural partners in that respect. Google can think big picture about this. Like I'm sure Apple, the report that Mark Gurman had last fall was Apple's going to pay like $1 billion, which again, we're in tech, that's no money at all. But it's tied into the search deal. Like they can massage it. The problem with working with an OpenAI or an Anthropic is they need to make money. And so like Apple doesn't, I think there's a more sort of I scratch your back, you scratch my back sort of thing here. Google's talking about, working with Apple's chips, adapting it, whatever it might be. Apple's does bespoke stuff like that, so I think it makes a ton of sense for both sides.
Do you think it ever flips? And do you think Google will be paying Apple? Because there's this news also that you're going to be able to do shopping through Gemini, and so you can imagine a world where you go to Siri, you ask for a product, and there's ads in that Gemini result, and Google's the one that's monetizing that, so they're passing some of that revenue back to Apple.
It's a good question. I mean, I think when Apple talked about like the next generation Siri and Apple Intelligence, I was pretty optimistic about this idea of Apple basically replaying the search bit.
That's my whole thing. I'm like, in some way, if I'm Apple and I'm paying for an LLM to use it to power a product that can basically do search really well, that could eventually have an ads business attached to it, that eventually could have like commerce built into it. Like it's this weird situation where like Gemini is effectively helping. Like that's what I don't fully understand yet, because I'm going to be like,
I think the market structure was so perfect for Apple in that they need like it's just a default search engine. There's no sort of deep integration into the product. It's just like when you type in your search bar, what engine is used. Yeah. And so it's super easy. Like there's like a concept when it comes to like figure out who's going to win in a value chain. Super easy substitutability is good for whoever can plug whatever in. So they could choose whatever they want. So it made sense that the value flowed that direction. Yeah. The difference with this AI stuff is it needs to be integrated deeply. And Apple is more on the defensive here. Like they need to have quality AI features built into the operating system. And so I think the need is more on Apple's part. And the benefit Google is getting, my suspicion is less about the ad thing and more they're getting some incremental revenue and they're probably getting a lot more. I mean, Apple's gonna be precious about the data. We'll see how that sort of works, but they also don't need. It's all incremental.
Even like the internal reasoning rollouts and all of that happens in Gemini. Like Apple's not gonna be able to claw all that back. So you're gonna have all this like reinforcement learning training on. Okay, maybe you're obfuscating the privacy data, what the person asked for, but all those interim steps of I went to a website, I interacted with it, I figured out how to click this button. Like that's gonna accrue to Gemini, you would imagine.
Well, and what it speaks to, I think, is what would be the red flag that would come up to this deal from an Apple perspective. It's like, well, they're not yet. Maybe they need to tough it out and build their own crappy LLM so that in the future they control their own LLM such that if you get to a world with, say, AR, right, where I'm actually lots of dispute about this, but I'm pretty optimistic on just-in-time UIs, where the idea that something pops up that is nothing but the decision you need to make in that moment for whatever it might be, and then it goes away. Like, to me, this was the best part of the Orion experience was the Facebook sort of AR glasses was when I received a call. Because the OS I used there was kind of like Quest just sort of dumped in there, and it didn't really make sense. You had like blocky stuff, and there was like an Instagram and stuff. It's like I could just look at my phone. This is gonna be better here. But you could be. I got a conversation right now. I could have a notification pop in right now saying so and so is calling, and I could use my little wrist thingy and dismiss it, and it's just there when I need it. It only has one option, accept or decline, and then it's gone. Yeah. And I could see that being a future of UI and important for Apple to control. But by not shipping their own, by depending on Google, they might say pretty words about, we're going to simultaneously develop our own. No, whatever. That's not going to happen. You're going to be so invested in this other one. And that speaks to the value is accruing to Google because they're the ones actually developing and pushing the technology, and Apple is sort of trailing along. Given that, I have a hard time seeing, Apple's going to get more and more deeper into this using Gemini. Are they going to be able to credibly go to Google, say, pay up, or else we're going to switch to someone else? I think that's probably unlikely. So I don't think it's going to play out like search, but we'll see. I was obviously wrong about this one, so I could certainly be wrong again.
Sure.
What was your reaction to the Manus acquisition? From my point of view, is exciting, specifically because Zuck has just been spending all this money on talent. But if you look historically, he's been very good at like buying something, scaling it. It's sort of unclear to me so far whether he plans to take Manus from a $100 million run rate to multiple billions, or just leverage the team's ability to build great agentic, effectively workflows product. How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing the meta in the enterprise sort of angle. So
no, but even like
talent than
but even
else.
it's like figure out the best product in this category and buy it for me, like that kind of workflow. Like that's what I can imagine the Manus team being.
That's my sort of understanding. Yeah, is like this is actually a really excellent product team that is doing very good work and is worth having on board. Sure. And does that mean growing their business into something larger that's a material source to our business? I think that would be a mistake. But I think the idea of agentic workflows is obviously a very compelling one. Actually, one of my favorite things, Mark Zuckerberg has been all over the place on AI. I think I did an interview with him like 9 months ago that was kind of bizarre. It was right when he was clearly thinking through, maybe I need to reset everything. And I thought that sort of came across in the interview at the time. Yeah. But one thing he did say is actually what is the largest, sort of most profitable at scale agent right now? Facebook advertising, which I think is a very, or Google advertising thing, a very astute point. Yeah. You go in, you tell Facebook, I'm willing to pay $1.49 for a customer or $9.99 for a customer, go get them. And it goes out and gets them. Now, is that a full LLM denominated probabilistic workflow? No, it's not really LLMs. It is more probabilistic, particularly post ATT. But the idea that you ask for a job, the focus is on the job to be done, as opposed to specifying how you do it. And that is just by and large for most advertisers, particularly in the long tail, probably at the part of the tail too, they just don't want to give up control, the better way to do it. And I think there's going to be lots of things like this. I mean, Google's announcement with Shopify and this idea of ads that are perfectly targeted to the user, very compelling, makes a ton of sense. That's where something like Grok, by the way, fits in, like super fast inference, so you can generate. Like, you think about how advertising works, these auctions that are run and you get ads in the time it takes to load a web page is absolutely incredible. Where the next step is to be insert generative ads into there, which is going to require very high inference speeds. So I think, and this has always been the most compelling short-term AI monetization opportunity, is basically Google and Facebook ads. That's why I've been super bullish on both of them. I think it's why Facebook needed to do this reset, and why Google, it's justifiably been sort of going to the moon recently.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think of Eric Seufert's point that you might not actually need to put the ads in the LLM responses, in the sense that you could be going to an LLM and saying, tell me the history of the Roman Empire. It knows that you're shopping for shoes, for new shoes, and it shows you ads for shoes in the middle of your Roman Empire deep dive. Just like on Instagram, you can be scrolling one thing and your algorithm can be recommending you a certain type of content, maybe like dogs, showing you dog videos, but then it also knows that you need luggage for your next trip and it's showing you ads for luggage or something.
No, I think it's a great point. I think Eric makes some good points about like you're running a real risk of conflict of interest, even the perception of conflict of interest. Totally. Otherwise. And so I think that's a very good point. And the reality is that's a much larger business. Mm-hmm. Just show what you're looking for is inventory. Mm-hmm. The number one way to predict sort of the upside for Meta over the last several years, the stock market has consistently had it totally backwards. Mm-hmm. Every time their sort of their price per ad would plummet, because the stock market would freak out. This happened with stories in like 2018, 2019. It happened with Reels a couple of years ago. And what the issue is that the reason why price per ad plummets is because there's a massive increase in inventory. Yeah. And when there's a massive increase in inventory, it's just more places to show ads. That is a huge opportunity. And you saw huge run-ups both times as they figured out how to monetize stories, as they figured out how to monetize Reels. And this should be an opportunity of how to it's going to take a while to figure out how to monetize. Maybe it's just an aspect of when they're reasoning, when they're thinking, or image generation. That might be an ad opportunity, and it's a big opportunity. A big problem is these folks. I think the OpenAI has hired so many Meta people. It confuses me why they haven't been on board with this. Yeah, it's a win-win-win. You need money to fund your operation. Yeah. The best way to make money is to show ads. Why? Because you get to deliver a better product to more people. This idea that we're going to commit to a world where if poor people get a worse product, that's not how tech works. And the reason why tech is amazing is it generates a ton of consumer surplus. Yeah. You do this upfront investment, and because it's monetized by ads, everyone gets the best product. It's great. And OpenAI, having this religious devotion for so long about not doing this, if they had launched, they could have launched the world's crappiest ads in 2023. Yeah. By today, in 2026, they'd be good. Yeah. They'd be making money, and people wouldn't rebel against it. Yeah. Now they're going to have to launch ads. They're going to suck, and people will be like, this sucks. I'll just go to Gemini or whatever it might be. It drives me bonkers. Yeah. Because
it does seem like there's a little bit of not to go back to chicken and egg problem, but the first mover disadvantage. Like the first LLM that has ads, there'll be a whole press cycle about, oh, Gemini's the ad
Would have been a lot easier if you were the only LLM. It risks the entire company.
Yeah.
Like they need to get their opportunities in the consumer space first and foremost.
Yeah.
Because the consumer space needs to monetize via ads.
Yeah.
And the fact they didn't get there or start to get there, still haven't started to get there,
Yep.
is it's a company imperiling poor decision.
Last question from my side, at least. Predictions. Do you think there's anything to the prediction that OpenAI will buy Pinterest or partner up with a social network at a more deeper level than they already have?
Well, so it's really interesting. This is one of my. I was actually. I was talking to. I met when I was in New York a few months ago, and I was at this off. Actually, I was meeting the semi-analysis guys.
Oh, cool.
Great guys, but they were sharing an office with like a hedge fund. And one of the guys is like, "Look, you're responsible for one of our worst all-time decisions." And I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "We bought Twitter." I'm like, "I never said to buy Twitter. That's a terrible stock, unless Elon's going to overpay for it." And he's like, "But then I remembered what it was. It was I think 2017, 2018 when Twitter bought Mopub." And my theory at the time was Twitter's just a very poor inventory for advertising. Part of it is it's text-based, especially then, there were fewer images. There's also a mindset when you're on Twitter, you're like girded up for battle.
Oh, yeah.
And you're trying to engage. Like, as opposed to Instagram. Like, Instagram, the ads might as well be
the content.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Like,
X is fight or flight.
no, exactly. And so my theory then, but Twitter has the potential to really understand your interests in a really sort of deep way. And so what they could do is they could harvest signal on Twitter and they could manifest it with using Mopub and inventory sort of across a bunch of apps. And that would be sort of a very compelling model. Again, who knows if I was right? Twitter's executives or Twitter was incompetent for years and years and years. At one point I said, I'm never covering this company again because this is pointless. That's a bit what sort of AppLovin did, who did buy Mopub from Twitter and has made a ton of money doing that. But I think that would be the thesis there, which is because people are dumping everything into this LM, we can get all this signal and understanding. What we need is inventory to monetize that signal. And could that be inventory to do so? The theory makes sense. It feels like they have a lot more important things to spend money on. I think probably at the end of the day, particularly post ATT, like O&O, like your owned and operated properties are always going to be the most valuable. I think figuring out how to monetize in ChatGPT is probably the best, but it's not an insane idea for that reason.
I like that. Well, thank you so much for hopping on the show on
Super
short
fun.
notice. We're huge fans here,
No,
and congratulations.
I am on a app. Look, no one cares about the Vision Pro but me. Therefore, I take it upon myself to go everywhere
Correct the record
and say
The strongest soldier.
Well,
One
if you
camera,
want,
please.
if you want the most, the deepest analysis, the most, the hottest takes on the Vision Pro, of course, sign up for Stratechery, get on the Pro plan.
Our
no, this
technology
one is
product.
free. You don't need to look. Just
This
Apple,
one's free,
Someone read
but
this.
you know there's going to be
We should.
there's
Hey,
gonna
hey,
be
hey.
podcasts.
We should hire. We should get a
plane.
plane, fly over, and drop this new one as leaflets.
Leaflets over Cupertino. We'll do it.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We need
Let's
to.
do
We
it.
need to. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I hope your 2026 is off to a great start.
Yeah, great to see you, Ben.
All right.
We'll talk to you
later.
soon. Have
Cheers.
a good one. Label Box, delivering you the highest quality data for frontier AI. Get in the box, the Label Box. Every time. They didn't give us enough.
They didn't give us that tagline, but
we're
it's
using
just
it anyway.
simply
Get
too
in the
good.
box, the
Get
Label
in the
box.
box.
Walmart partners with Alphabet's Google to allow shoppers to purchase products through Gemini. So Walmart is jumping in with Google. We're having Harley from Shopify on the stream later to talk about agentic commerce, what's happening there. There's a lot of other news.
Person probably.
Whoa, I have the audio on my phone. Google is posting a video of Wing. The future of retail is landing. They're taking shots at our boy Keller, launching a drone delivery service.
This one hit me pretty hard.
I know. We love Zipline. We love Keller
can-
here. We love
can-
Google. Obviously, their sponsor.
Can
but
Google just leave one future of X thing for
someone else.
For someone else.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't even know about Wing until today. Was this an acquisition? Wing.com, one of the best domains.
You're going to be texting Keller like Sam Altman and Elon were texting each other about the future of AI. You're going to be like, the future of drone delivery is in our hands, brother. we gotta beat Wing. No, Google's been working on this for a long time. Obviously, this is going not to be, there's only going to be one company with the technology. There's going to be a variety. Tyler, what do you have for us?
Just on the point of Elon and Sam.
Yeah.
Elon just said on the Apple and Google collaboration, he said, seems like an unreasonable concentration of power for Google, given that they also have Android and Chrome.
Oh,
so
interesting.
he's still on the
He's taking shots.
monopoly.
He's not a fan. Well, we are fans of Plaid here, and so let me tell you about Plaid. Plaid powers the apps you use to spend, save, borrow, and invest, securely connecting bank accounts to move money, fight fraud, and improve lending, now with AI. We talked about Apple confirming Gemini, very excited for that. I want them to roll this out immediately. I know that it's probably going to be, some normal release cycle with very polished ads and on-stage keynote and a developer preview, and there'll be a whole cycle to updating. But we are in the age of AI, Apple. Just ship it today. Just replace Siri with Gemini today. I'm sure a lot of people would be fans of that, but they operate the way they do. Eric Topol.
I pulled a little history on Wing.com.
Please.
So started.
Wait, they own Wing.com?
Wing.com. That's what I was saying. It's one of the, it's not only do this an amazing partnership, but fantastic domain.
Yeah.
So it started within X, Google X, the Moonshot Factory.
It really is a factory.
The original
for moonshots.
mission was focused on emergency medical response.
Okay.
So they wanted to deliver defibrillators to heart attack victims. Basically they pivoted away from emergency services to last mile commercial delivery. They started doing their first real world trials back in Queensland as early as 2014. It graduated from X in 2018. They later became the first drone delivery company to receive a Part 135 air carrier certificate from the FAA, and they've just been scaling the network since then. So, I guess they're going to be able to serve 40 million people by 2027. So.
Yeah, I mean, as an American, as a human, as a technologist, I want more and I want competition. But as a big fan of Keller at Zipline, I want him to dominate.
No, I think
Absolutely.
I think Google maybe did this. They knew Keller had the potential to be one of the greatest in history.
Yeah.
But they realized if he didn't have a viable competitor, he would never live up to his potential.
So they're inspiring him to grind harder.
Exactly.
That's what's going on. Okay, now we understand it. Well, Figma. Figma Make isn't your average vibe coding tool. It lives in Figma, so outputs look good, feel real, and stay connected to how teams build, create code-backed prototypes and apps fast. OpenAI launched ChatGPT Health. Now Anthropic has Claude Code for heart attacks or something like that. Healthcare and life sciences. Claude Code. I'm dying. Give me blood transfer.
Don't make mistakes.
I used Claude Code this weekend in a funny way. I was having slow Wi-Fi, which of course is a weird thing to go to Claude Code for because it uses the internet, so you're gonna have slow interaction. I had it diagnose my. I gave it a prompt. I said, what did I say? Oh, it's somewhere here. Maybe I lost it. But I basically told it, I told it like, hey, I'm having problems with my internet. Can you just go fix it? It ran all these different diagnostics, pinged Google, pinged all the different DNS servers, ran through everything, ran speed tests, and it came back and told me to turn it off and turn it back on. And it actually worked. And I could have saved myself like 45 minutes of sitting there being like, yes, I'm okay with you using curl. Yes, I'm okay with you using wget. So
the entire time, superintelligence was just turning it off, and then back on again.
It's Lindy. It should have just preempted me and just been like, look, dude, have you at least turned it off and turned it back on? Anyway, Tyler, what do you think?
If Claude was being slow because of the Wi-Fi, then that's an example of self-improvement.
Self-improve. Oh, it improved itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah, it was a weird issue. I had really high ping, really like the bandwidth was fine, but the ping was really bad, and so it was very annoying. But it did resolve it, and at the end of the day, Claude Code did a very thorough job of telling me some time-honored advice. So thank you to Claude Code. Interesting that everyone's pushing into healthcare. I'm still waiting for the push into legal. I'm wondering if that'll happen or if that's more complicated than healthcare. I'm also wondering maybe healthcare is more lucrative, more viable, more. I would love to be in the meetings where they have prioritization of what whose lunch they're trying to eat off. whose plate should we eat off of? Let's
lunch
decide.
meeting.
The lunch meeting. Well, New York Stock Exchange. If you want to change the world, raise capital at the New York Stock Exchange. We love the NYC. Can't wait to be out there. Again, we're planning our next trip. So stay tuned.
Cannot wait. Meta CEO Zuckerberg is launching Meta Compute, planning tens of gigawatts this decade and hundreds of gigawatts longer term. This effort will be led by Santosh Janardhan and Daniel Gross, DG, back in the mix. Santosh will continue to lead our technical architecture, software stack, silicon program, developer productivity, and building and operating our global data center fleet and network. Daniel will lead a new group responsible for long-term capacity strategy, supplier relationships, industry analysis. Let's give it up for industry analysis. Love it. Planning and business. Let's give it up for planning and business modeling as well.
DG, this is not his first rodeo. Do you remember the Andromeda cluster?
Yes.
NFDG. That was really, really cool.
Early and
so
right on that.
They
front.
were doing, was it AI Grant was the name of the program? So they backed a bunch of companies, some crazy companies in AI Grant too, sort of an incubator, accelerator model, a bunch of early stage companies, smaller checks. Give me the details.
Let me just read this. So in the first batch, they had Perplexity, Cursor, Replicate, Chroma.
Chroma too. I think they had, didn't they have Julius? Julius was in maybe a second batch.
One. It might have been in the second one, but
Insane.
There's so many bangers. If you just go to the site, it lists all of them.
It's amazing. And so what they did was they went and bought a whole bunch of GPUs. They built a cluster, and
they had a
made
feeling
it
that GPUs would be
important, and it was. So basically, anyone in their portfolio was sort of default GPU rich, at least for a little bit. Although of course the resources were shared. And I have heard about another accelerator doing this recently. I need to confirm with the head of that accelerator if it's okay to share because it's very exciting as well. But I was asking them, like, what does it mean to build a cluster at this level? Did you buy land? Did you build a data center? Or did you just go to Microsoft and say, hey, cordon off this little rack of GPUs. We want those to be dedicated leased instances. And I believe it was more of the latter, but still not their first rodeo here. So I think this project's in good hands with DG. So let's hear it for the Meta Compute.
Meta also brought on Dina McCormick.
Oh yeah,
joined Meta as president and vice chairman to work on partnering with governments and sovereigns to build, deploy, invest in, and finance Meta's infrastructure.
This is making wave on Truth Social. I saw.
Governments getting involved in financing Meta's infrastructure. So he's like, Sam, they said it. I'm going to say it now.
It's not a backstop. It's the front door.
Dina was a former deputy national security advisor.
Well, we have a new sponsor of the show, Sentry. Sentry shows developers what's broken and helps them fix it fast. That's why 150,000 organizations use it to keep their apps working. I've used Sentry. I love Sentry. So welcome to them.
To have you.
NVIDIA is investing $1 billion in an AI drug lab with Eli Lilly over 5 years. This will be very interesting. We're excited for Eli Lilly progress.
Drug lab sounds.
It's AI Ozempic. It's the two biggest super trends of the last 5 years: weight loss and AI. Could it get any better? Well, now it will. We'll have to dig into more of this partnership.
Tom Brady is now the face of the former CEO of X's new company, eMed.
That's right.
Did you see this?
I did.
So Tom Brady, if you're not familiar, he was the former face of FTX.
That's a rough one.
And also,
was he actually the face?
Player.
Because there were a lot of celebrities that partnered with FTX. Larry David was in there.
He was part of some of their bigger campaigns.
He did a bigger campaign. He did a TV campaign. But again, it's hard if you're a celebrity to.
But this is an interesting one because so he's joining as the chief wellness officer of eMed.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because this kind of just makes him the face of GLP-1s, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a beneficiary, like is beneficial to the entire industry, right?
Sure,
if you
sure.
sell GLP-1s,
Yeah,
you
you'll
can
look
be
like
like,
Tom Brady.
well, Tom Brady
Yeah,
is
he's down.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's on them. That'd be interesting. What his
Anyways,
peptide
so
regimen is. Maybe he's just super AGI pilled. Maybe Sam said, "Hey, I'm an investor in Anthropic," and he said, "Well, I think Anthropic's going to win. I'm partnering up with you. I don't care about the structure of your hedge fund. I don't care if there's a backdoor out of your trading platform. I'm in on you because of your investing track record." What about that?
Yeah.
You know, if Anthropic gets out at $1 trillion. There's going to be a debate, at least, about Sam Bankman-Fried's legacy. He, of course, invested, $10 million for 10%
He owned
of the company or something?
8%.
8% of the company. So that would be maybe like an $80 billion position today, something like that, 50 billion, 10 billion with dilution. I don't know. It was a good investment. Just like getting your business on Gusto is a good investment. The unified platform for payroll, benefits, and HR, built to evolve with modern small and medium-sized businesses.
like us.
Like us. Paramount Skydance has now initiated what insiders are calling Plan D. They're running out of letters as they look to upend Netflix's winning bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. Hey, maybe the D just stands for Discovery. So, maybe this is actually one of the earlier plans, but
Maybe they're saving the best for last.
Plan
too.
W. Never take the L. Skip Plan L. Go straight to Plan W. Get the W. We're rooting for you, Ellison. It involves banging home to investors the immense amount of regulatory uncertainty involved in the Netflix deal and how that could spell trouble, not just for the transaction, but for Netflix itself. And so if Netflix finds itself in a quagmire trying to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, that could be bad news. And David Ellison wants to make that clear to all of the shareholders that going with a Paramount Skydance might be a little bit less bumpy of a road. We will see. From the photo shoots, seems like they're pretty happy together, but we will see what happens. It will be a proxy fight, and I'm sure we will be following it closely.
Some more news from Axios. Bessent told Trump that investigation of Fed chair creates a, quote, mess. So basically last night, Bessent was saying the secretary isn't happy, and someone else said the secretary isn't happy, and he let the president know. That's kind of a white pill, right? Somebody in the admin that seems to have just kind of a steady view on things is pushing back a little bit.
Nothing ever happens.
Yeah, you need a secretary of nothing. Just, did anything happen? No, nothing happens. But Vanta happens, and compliance happens. So get on Vanta. Automate compliance and security. The leading AI trust management platform is, of course, Vanta. There was a massive debate that raged in a Google Doc, which was published on Substack. The battle between Jack Clark, who's at Anthropic, of course, the co-founder of Anthropic, and Dwarkesh Patel. They were going up against Michael Burry, Cassandra Unchained. They had a good discussion, and it's been published free to all on Substack, where you can go and read it.
Highlights,
Very cool.
Tyler?
Yeah, I have some highlights. I mean,
Please,
I
take us
wouldn't.
through it.
So one thing, it's not really a debate at all. It's
Okay.
just discussion. It's like there's a bunch of questions, and they go and they basically.
They're just like, AI is amazing. I agree.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like almost all the quotes I pulled were from Burry, because the Dwarkesh and Jack Clark, I just agreed with everything they said.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it's like not that interesting. Like I already know this.
Boo.
But so
Tyler,
one
get
thing.
your own opinions, bro. Like, I agree with everything you said. I have no.
You're
original
absolutely
thoughts.
right.
Yeah.
So one thing it's always interesting.
Yeah.
Jack Clark, he writes, I've been doing research on the cost curves of various things recently, and the examples he gives are dollars of mass to orbit and dollars per watt from solar.
Okay.
So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Anthropic is looking at space data centers.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Some other stuff, I thought Burry said his one like policy proposal.
Oh, so just the fact that Jack Clark is doing that reresearch indicates to you that they might be thinking about orbital data centers in the future.
Yeah, I mean,
Got
cost
it.
of orbit,
Okay.
mass
Yeah.
to orbit, and
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Yeah. No, it makes
I
sense.
mean, maybe he's just interested in space.
He might just be interested.
Yeah.
He might just be like, I want to go to the moon. I'm bringing Claude with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Claude, go to the moon. Don't.
The other interesting Burry take was that he thinks that blue collar work might be more susceptible to AI disruption than many people think. He made this point that he's been doing his own plumbing and electrical work. Apparently, I don't know if that's how true that is, but
Yeah,
he said
says-
that. Yeah. Can you read it?
I have the quote. Yeah, he says, given how much I can now do in electrical work and other areas around the house, just with cloud at my side, I'm not so sure about jobs going away.
Yeah.
If I'm middle class and am facing an $800 plumber or electrician call, I might just use Claude.
Take a picture.
I love that I can take a picture and figure everything out I need to do to fix it.
So, I mean,
that was a big moment for me. I forget who was sharing this, but somebody was like, they just took a picture of like the most insane
wiring diagram or something.
No, it was just a bunch of wires going everywhere, and it just one
take a picture of your car. It needs engine out service. You're like, where do I screw? I'm doing it myself. Well, we have the perfect guest to talk about AI diffusion and its impact on the job market with economist Tyler Cowen joining in just a minute. First, let me tell you about MongoDB. Choose a database built for flexibility and scale with best-in-class embedding models and re-rankers. MongoDB has what you need to build what's next. And without further ado, we will bring Tyler Cowen in from the Restream waiting room. Tyler, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Welcome back.
I'm fine. Good to see you. Congratulations on the Vanity Fair piece. I loved it.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to check that out. It was a lot of fun. Very funny getting dressed up all fancy.
When are you going to be in Vanity Fair?
They really
we're gonna
be doing their work.
I think I would love to see a Vanity Fair photo shoot with you as the subject. I think it would be fantastic. We should make it happen.
A style icon, right?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they really should do more reflecting on conversations with Tyler. The team's grown a lot. Did you just hit a recent milestone? I saw that there was an event. Can you just get me up to speed on the organization and how long you've been working on the show?
Conversations with Tyler is now 10 years. It's a few hundred episodes.
Overnight success.
And last year we did almost an episode a week.
An episode a week. That is fantastic. Well, it's one of my favorite shows. It always has been for, I feel like I might have been a decade-long listener. Maybe not the first year, but I got on early, and I've been very pleased the whole time. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We first wanted to have you reflect on this point from Michael Burry that artificial intelligence might displace more blue-collar jobs than people are expecting because you can now take a picture of your toilet and learn how to do plumbing, or you can take a picture of an electrical panel and you can do your own electrical work. Does that resonate with you at all? Do you think that there might be some substitutive effect in the DIY community that might have an effect on those trades jobs that previously have been rumored to be very AI resistant?
Well, that's true, but there's still a net job boost coming in those areas because there'll be all these new projects, new data centers, new sources of electricity, and they need plumbers. They're not all going to use ChatGPT to take the photo and try to figure out how to fix the thing under the water, whatever.
Yeah.
So the house call plumber, maybe that goes down by 20%, but so many other new things happening, terraforming the earth, whatever, other countries, Africa developing, those jobs will be doing great.
Yeah. How are you?
That's it. I agree with his example.
Sure. How are you tracking the overall data center boom? There's been this narrative that data centers are the only thing that are propping up the U.S. economy. It feels like we hear about new data center projects every day. The numbers are getting bigger. There's a new zero every time there's a new press release. And at the same time, the overall power generation, the big like U.S. national number is not yet started to move, but it feels like this might be the year where we see more electricity generated in America than before. How are you tracking the overall impact of AI on the broader economy?
We need to do much better, but I think it's wrong to feel that without the data centers, the economy would collapse. Those resources would be used to do something else and different. It might be less risky, it might be more immediate. Actually, consumption would be higher in the short run, if not for AI in the data centers. So what we're doing is investing longer term, taking some risk, boosting medium-term productivity. I'm all for doing that. But again, without that, we'd make more toys or more hot dogs or more something else. So no big deal.
How often are you listening to AI music?
I try it reasonably often, but I don't yet listen to it because I want to. It gets closer every time. I would say within 2 years, I think I'll be listening to it on purpose. But right now, it's experiment and tracking the field, not for enjoyment.
Sure. Do you find the act of playing the game of trying to generate a song that you like more entertaining than the actual resulting music?
No, I don't find either entertaining. For me, it's the pain.
Yeah.
I have a very large collection of albums and compact discs. I can hear literally the world's best music at my fingertips when I want to, and the other is a distraction. I do it as my own investment in seeing where things are headed.
Do you think there's
I had someone share an interesting anecdote recently, which is that one example, a professional singer who made who's sort of top of their field within country music. They made something like $400,000 last year, basically going into the studio and recording sample tracks. Basically a songwriter would make a song, they would sing it, and then they go out. This person would sing it, and then it would get pitched to other artists to be made into like a hit, right, and actually be produced. And his work literally went to zero because of Suno this year, and he doesn't have the ability. Nobody hires like a backup singer to go on tour. Like you can be like a studio guitarist and get live jobs, and so their work went from because now people can just prompt with Suno and say, hey, use these lyrics, apply it to this track, and make it sound like this artist. And so that's just been kind of an interesting space. And I was talking to another friend yesterday that says basically everybody is using Suno at scale, and very few people in the industry are willing to actually talk about it.
Interesting.
So I played some for my wife recently, and she said, I hate it. And I said, why did you hate it? And she said, I hated it because it was good. And that's where we're at right now.
That is.
But yeah, it's notable too that it's maybe not. It's not great for like the end listening stage yet, but it's totally good enough for like the sampling for the professional kind of workflow side of things.
Yeah. Do you think there'll be sort of a legal reckoning, figuring out how all the royalties flow through these models and saying that, okay, there's 1% Taylor Swift in this generative sample and 2% someone else, and then all of the money from like sort of like a more complex rev share that might flow through these generative models?
I don't know if that's practical. I mean, the Beatles took from Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, Carl Perkins, everyone, without paying, and the world went on, even whether or not it was fair. And I think we're going to redo that experiment. I don't think it will be all that different. Most musicians don't make from recording anyway.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Have you tried Claude Code?
No, I have not. I've been meaning to, but I've been traveling, and I'm finally back home, and I will be trying it. Everyone tells me it's amazing.
Yes. People are maybe one click behind you. I remember you declared 03 AGI, and now people were maybe hesitant to call the game there, but many more people have jumped in with affirmations that Claude Code is AGI because it can do so much more when it actually has access to your full computer. But it is a little bit more cumbersome to get set up.
How did you process Powell's video yesterday?
Oh yeah.
Well, it was terrible what Trump did. Fortunately, most of the markets did not react very much, but gold and silver went crazy. To me, that's a sign that the dollar is much less of a safe haven, and Trump is going a bit, what I call the Captain Queeg route, and he's just not reliable. And that's very bad, but I don't think it's really going to change inflation or interest rates very much.
Is that just because Powell will hold steady?
No, because we already wrecked the independence of the Fed, which I'm not happy about. But that's the ugly little truth behind this story.
Yeah.
That's why it's not been worse, what Trump did, is because it was already wrecked.
Why is Fed independence important?
Sometimes the central bank needs to do things that are not politically popular, and they need that shield to do it. But the basic problem is our debt and deficits are so high that over time we will monetize them to some extent and have higher inflation, because we prefer that over higher taxes, no matter what we might say. And so the Fed independence is taken away through that mechanism, apart from whatever Trump said yesterday.
Oh, so just
so we're in bad shape. Like, I'm not telling you not to worry, but I'm telling you should have been worried to begin with.
Black pill. So yeah, you're saying that just by running high deficits, that reduces Fed independence.
And that's an old story, but it's now closer to a tipping point. And Trump is making that much worse. So I would say his actions on the fiscal front do more to hurt the Fed's independence than his words, but they're both bad.
Can you walk me through your mental model for thinking through what the right level of debt for a nation is. Some of the numbers get so big, it's trillions of dollars. It feels very abstractly bad. But then if you look at it more like a mortgage relative to, debt to income, it feels maybe more reasonable. Like, how should, nations think about the level of indebtedness that's appropriate?
The United States is a special nation, and we can get away with more debt, which is great for our living standards, but it's bad for our political responsibility because our leaders all know we can get away with more debt. I think what we'll need to do at some point is have half a dozen years of something like 7% inflation, get the debt down. It won't at all solve the problem. The problem will never go away, but it will give us some breathing room. We'll then lower inflation, maybe have a recession, and start all over again. And it's highly unpleasant, and a lot of people will be thrown out of work and living standards will be lower. But we've already spent that money. We can't default. And that's facing us over the course of the next 10 to 15 years. But I don't think the world will end.
Is America's position in AI the biggest counterbalance to all that, sort of negative view?
It is. So if AI would help our economy grow 1 percentage point more a year, we could just afford the whole thing and we wouldn't even need to inflate.
Yeah.
Now, that would not be my best prediction, but it's not impossible that it could happen. And I've been predicting 0.5 percentage point a year, which still puts us right on that border of can we, can't we don't know. I wouldn't want to stake the whole house on that. But again, there's some chance we'll squeak by due to AI and assorted productivity gains.
Yeah, but why not 1% growth? Why not 2% growth? These tools, they feel amazing. It feels like...
Or triple digit, as Elon alluded to.
Sure. But it does. You use these tools and it feels like you're more productive. And there's some studies that say, maybe
you
you're
can
a little
generate
less productive,
documents that don't get read.
Basically, is that what's going on? Like what is holding back AI from actually moving the needle on economic growth significantly?
Well, first, about half of our economy right now is just totally perpetually sluggish. Look at government, look at most of the nonprofit sector, look at higher education, parts of our healthcare sector. Add that up, you're at 50% of GDP. To some extent, they use AI already, but in pretty trivial ways, like, it saves people some time, they don't work as hard, they take more leisure, they hang out more at the water cooler. That's fine, it's fun, but it's not going to get rid of our debt problem. And then you have some startups, you have programming, you have the dynamic parts of our biomedical sector that are already using AI a lot, but the more they use AI, the more efficient they become, and the more the inefficient parts of your economy are left over, and it's just really hard to grow much faster, unless you're like China playing catch-up.
Yeah.
So the number's hard to estimate, but GDP is a huge mound of stuff, most of which is produced by people who are neither white nor black-pilled on AI, and it will take things a long time to change.
Yeah. How do you think about the legacy of Thomas Piketty and the new debate over Piketty in the 22nd century? I believe, was it 21st century, 22nd century that Dwarkesh wrote about?
21st. 20.
It's in the future.
Century.
Talking about economic inequality, increasing gains to capital, and increasing returns to capital.
Dwarkesh
in the
did
22nd century.
Piketty did 21st.
He's too focused on the labor share. I think real wages will go up a lot. If real wages go up, workers are happy. They might be upset that Elon or someone else is a trillionaire, but I don't think that will drive our politics. I think if real wages go up, we'll be fine. People will feel good. So my view is very different.
Real wages will go up, they'll feel good, but then they'll also be upset that there's now multiple trillionaires walking around. And so won't those emotions actually drive the politics? It feels like they do today.
I don't think people are that envious. They're envious about the people they went to high school with, or maybe their brother-in-law. Most people are not that envious about Elon or Bill Gates or whomever else.
Yeah.
Envy is local for the most part.
Yeah,
maybe you two envy each other, right?
Yeah, maybe.
If you envy, the sheik,
the
richest sheik in Saudi Arabia, I bet you don't even think about him that much.
He does have a great
Or if
car
you do,
collection.
you think about his role in the AI world, which is fine.
Totally.
But you're not upset that he gets however much hummus and you have less hummus than he does.
It's all about the hummus. I was doing a thought experiment.
Don't you think envy is a factor in the current wealth tax sort of discourse?
I think California is a crazy state, but I think it's just more a money grab than envy. And I think there's a very good chance they ruin the greatest engine of wealth creation, maybe in human history. So I hope it fails, and soon. Even the risk of it, as you know, is inducing many people to leave or get ready to leave.
Yeah. What's the retrospective view on the Laffer curve in light of what's happening in California today?
Well, at some tax rate, the Laffer curve is true. We're not usually in that range, but California is playing with fire and experimenting with that range. So I dearly hope they don't do it for their own sake. It'd be great for Austin, great for Miami, maybe good for New York.
Yeah, interesting.
New York has its own problem.
What's your personal investing strategy?
Buy and hold. Focus on other things. Investing doesn't
but
make you happy.
buy what? Because if you buy individual names, it can end up being wildly distracting, and then you can't focus on the other things that are maybe more productive.
Diversified portfolio. I've thought now of buying some more gold just as a hedge. It's not that I think it will do well, but I see higher risk. And Bitcoin's not really a hedge, so maybe gold and silver. Again, I'm not saying it will make you rich. I'm just saying if everything else falls apart, you'll have something.
Yeah. Have you pushed any AI labs to develop taste or smell technology to help with the judging of food? It feels like culinary aspects are particularly AI durable or resistant. But I don't know if that's something that can be overcome with better technology.
Maybe it's cheaper for now just to use humans and have the AI record what the humans say and judge the food that way. That seems to work well. Like judging food is not hard. It's one of the easiest problems for humans to solve. And humans will do it basically for free. How many food bloggers get paid? Well, they might get some free meals, whatever. Sure. But so many people do it for free. I just wouldn't put AI money into that for a long time. I'd work on almost every other problem first. You know, Mercor, they wanted to hire some basketball analysts to make basketball commentary better by AI. I'd rather do that than food. It's harder.
Sure. That's very funny. What about this call for new aesthetics? What do you believe that we're in some sort of local minima for the development of new aesthetics? Like, what do you attribute this to? Just broad stagnation? What are the key sources that led us to this point where it feels like aesthetically we're stunted?
I think poor taste is a big problem around the world, but especially in America. You look at the older parts of San Francisco, the Victorian homes, they're beautiful. You look at the new buildings, I like some of them, but a lot of them are just awful. Or you look at parking structures, or you look at a new bank branch that goes up somewhere. Awful, awful, awful. Are we really so poor a society that we cannot afford to invest in more beauty? So Patrick and I are trying to get people to think more systematically. What can we do to try to make much more of our world just plain, flat, outright lovely? It absolutely can be done.
Is there an element of the financialization or I don't know, like multi-party, like multi-pronged stakeholders that go into the development of a campus or a building now that maybe didn't exist 100 years ago, where one person could just decide that they have some crazy vision for a building and they go and build Hearst Castle and it kind of destroys them over their life. But it's a singular decision. And now a company that builds a property or something, it doesn't have, there's not a single person that can be maybe authoritarian about the decision and the taste. Even if they have the taste, they get overruled by a committee of investors and stakeholders that all kind of put the kibosh on whatever they want to do.
That's one problem, and there are too many veto points. But if you go back earlier in time to the 1920s, say, you look at a neighborhood like Shaker Heights near Cleveland, where the homes are being built by different families for the most part. They're still far more beautiful than homes being built today. So I don't think that's the sole main root of the issue. I think just bad taste is.
Do you think there's a technology angle where it feels like in the modern era, a lot of young people lament high housing prices, but when I look at their choices, they'll often choose to live in a small studio apartment in a very dense city to be around other people. And when they go to their apartment, it is small. They don't have a library, but they have a Kindle. And they don't have a room to dance or something, but they have a TV where they can watch dancing. And they don't need a movie theater because they just have their phone to watch a show on or something like that. And so the number of places, if you were rich, a century ago, you needed a lot of spaces to do different activities. Now every activity can happen on the couch with a TV. Do you think that there's some effect
How Black
there?
Mirror of you, John?
I don't know.
Well, if you do all that and you live in the West Village, you're surrounded by beautiful buildings.
Sure.
I'd like there to be more places in the country where you have that choice to be surrounded by beauty, that you don't just have to be all scrunched in, that you can have reasonable living space and afford it, and what's around you looks nice. Again, people have done this in the past, even the distant past, even sometimes in medieval times. So to claim we can't do it now, it's simply a failure of will. There are laws that need to be changed, procedures that need to be changed. But I think the first step is just to wake people up and increase awareness.
Yeah, it feels like the YIMBY movement has a serious amount of energy behind it, and yet in my lifetime I haven't seen that much movement on it. Maybe the ADU law in California is moving a little bit, but it still feels incredibly slow to get permits. Is there a dynamic where landowners, property owners are actually pushing back against that?
My feeling is that the ADU support for ADUs doesn't actually really increase the housing supply, because a lot of people are like, you'll let me put another structure on my property? Great. Doesn't mean I'm gonna like suddenly like it's a new single family home, right?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I think the YIMBY movement could go much further if it could promise it would boost housing and make neighborhoods prettier. Right now, it's like, well, we're going to boost housing, costs will fall, that's wonderful, but maybe your neighborhood will get uglier.
Sure.
Say you do it in Buffalo, you replace the old with the new.
Yeah.
The new's probably uglier.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think YIMBY would have a lot more successes when it can promise beauty.
Yeah. Sorry, on the new aesthetics, I heard a critique or an idea that new aesthetics come from problem solving. And so it's less about the taste and opinion and will, and more of there's a specific problem in society in a particular neighborhood, and then a design emerges to address that particular problem. And so the critique was that we won't get the new aesthetics until we identify particular problems, or maybe the bland aesthetics are solving for a particular set of problems that are in front of us. Does that resonate with you at all?
Not that much. I mean, I would say the problem is ugliness. If you look at older structures around the world, especially in Europe, but often in the US, they can be very ornate and have all kinds of flourishes and small details that are lovely. Those are not solving problems. They're put there because people think it will make the thing look better. So it's not mainly about problem solving, but I'm not against solving problems, hardly.
Sure.
Has there been any studies on the effect, the local effect of brutalist architecture? Like, does it make people like stay at the office longer or anything? Because I can actually, it's funny, I can appreciate brutalist architecture when it is surrounded by nature in a big way.
It stands out as contrast.
Yeah, it's a nice contrast,
Yeah.
and it feels like a triumph of man in some way.
Yeah.
But it oftentimes will make a neighborhood much less warm. Right?
A shipping container home in a forest sometimes can look beautiful if you see it as a getaway.
But yeah. Is there any like what made brutalist architecture be such a force in the world?
People don't like it once they live in it. Personally, as a tourist, I often enjoy it. I think it's interesting or sometimes creative, but it's not the model I would want to seek to spread through the world.
Yeah.
Because to live with it all the time, I think it wears thin on you. Why it ever got as far as it did, maybe England is the best example. The 60s, the 70s, it's just cheaper. They're in a hurry. Concrete is easy to manage. You have a bunch of planners who think they know better. And a lot of it was a big mistake. And, I would say maybe England got the worst brutalism. Maybe parts of communist society got the best brutalism because they really needed the structures after World War II. But I don't think it should be our emphasis moving forward. We want to move away from that.
Do you think there's 8 billion people on Earth? because there's a
What's
popular
the exact number of people on Earth?
No.
Can't GPT tell me.
The backstory is that there's a growing conspiracy theory, specifically on X this weekend, movement of people that are just saying there's no possible way.
Google says it's 8.2 billion.
Yes,
but this is
many people are disagreeing with
one of
China's official data.
One of the arguments is that in certain countries, China among them, there are incentives to inflate your local population number, so you get more resources from the state. You do that, you game theory that out across the entire country.
And there's a homegrown effort in China from people that are trying to prove this, and they're going and they're finding these cities that are just barren.
Dissidents.
It's a city that has 1,000 homes and 1,000
that might just be
structures.
Though, but
Well, yeah. But there's like a homegrown movement to prove that China does not in fact have as many people as the official numbers claim.
What do you think?
I think there's a modest inflation there.
Okay.
If there's a betting market on this, I'd love to get in on it.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I'm going to bet on 8 billion or more. That's my bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's 8.1 billion and not 8.2, that I can believe.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Back on the architecture question and the aesthetic question, it feels like when people are dissatisfied with the current status quo of architecture or any aesthetic, there's often some sort of emotional response to return to a previous era, to just go back in time. And I'm wondering if you think that is the solution. We need more Art Deco or mid-century or all sorts of different, Gothic structures, or go back in time to just build new buildings that look like they're hundreds of years old, or you think we actually need something that's entirely new and never before conceived?
Yeah, everyone draws from the past. Mostly, I think we need freedom to experiment. It's not that I want everyone to follow my preferred path. The city where I love what they've done with new things and somewhat older things is Helsinki, Finland. So personally, that's what I want. But do I want every city to look like Helsinki? Of course not.
Yeah.
Or the modern parts of Copenhagen, I think, are quite striking and beautiful. So those would be my preferred directions. But most of all, it's about simply the ability to raise your hand and say, this is ugly. We don't want to do ugly things anymore. And we all look around for different ways of avoiding that outcome.
Yeah. I mean, the risk is that you just have NIMBYs that say, I think everything looks ugly and I don't want anything to build, I guess. If you have the option to raise your hand and say, that's ugly, we shouldn't build it. I don't know.
Earlier on the show, John was sharing how in 1947 there was a very, very small number of televisions in the U.S., 16,000.
8 years later, it was 32 million.
So we were talking about how that was effectively a fast takeoff, a hardware fast takeoff. Do you think we can see something similar in robotics? There's a bunch of different exciting projects, a lot of which we've covered on the show. I saw a video of a robotic hand yesterday spinning a screw perfectly, and it looks like it's sped up like 10x, but it's actually in real time. So it's like spinning a screw, 20 times faster than a human can.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I think people see the current state of humanoids today. They can do cool demos and other robotic form factors, but it doesn't quite feel like we could have a population of 100 million of these in 3 years, but who knows?
I don't think we yet see the killer app in the home. So if I ask myself, what do I want? If I could have a fully functioning robot that would be like a maid or a butler, that would be useful to me. But most things short of that don't quite seem worth it. Do I have a Roomba? No. I don't know. What if there's a mechanical vacuum cleaner that goes around on its own when I'm at work? Fine. It just doesn't seem that necessary. I do my own laundry. It's a welcome break sometimes. So I think we're still waiting to see the killer app.
Yeah. Any other technologies that you're excited about this year?
Well, everything in biomedical. I mean, even without AI, progress against cancer.
Yeah.
I think youngish people today will die of old age and maybe live to 97 or whenever the time is. And that's already in the cards. You don't even have to be a big AI optimist. I don't think it will be soon. To me, it seems like a 40-year process where you have some gains coming now, but it's mostly complete within 40 years, that you just won't die of most of the things that kill people. Cancer, heart attacks, there'll be accidents, and there'll be deaths by old age.
Yeah. That's an extreme weight pill. I love it.
And that's likely.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't have to rely on AGI, though. Of course, AGI can help and accelerate that.
Mm-hmm. How do you think about your information diet, your information consumption? It's obviously AI augmented, but I imagine you don't start the day with the prompt to an LLM, and maybe the LLM prompts come in once you've explored or read some source text and want more context. Is that how you're using them?
Oh, you imagine wrong.
Ooh.
I wake up in the morning. I had questions when I was lying in bed,
Okay.
questions when I was falling asleep.
Okay.
And to ask an LLM something can easily happen in the first 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because
Hello,
I've been
world.
thinking and wondering,
Yeah.
and I don't get up just to ask the LLM, but once I'm up, it's like, hey, I'm here. Why not?
Yeah.
And if the question takes a while to answer, then I scroll through Twitter, email, whatever.
Sure.
It's perfect. You want to set your queries in motion early in the day.
Yeah, I actually do find that often I'll kick off a deep research report before bed because I know it's cooking for me when I wake up. I love that. That's actually a great workflow.
Iran is
sure.
in flux. Very, very hard to tell, what the outcome will be there. But if you have a free Iran, how should people be thinking about how that would impact world markets?
I think it's unrealistic to expect a free Iran. I would like to see a stable Iran, which has been rare in world history, though Iranians are often very successful. There are so many ethnic groups in the territory, and they have expanded or contracted so many times. What they need is stability and some breathing space and a government that's not one of the very worst in the world. And I think the chances of getting that now are pretty high, maybe 50%. But we should set our sights a bit low and not actually reach for too much, and let the Iranian people over time, make it as good as they can, and not have it be a question of outside influence. So, oh, we're giving you this, we're making you do that. I think that's counterproductive.
Mm-hmm. What about the looking back, the postmortem on the tariff and the trade war from last year? Obviously, the markets did very well, even though they were tumultuous during the process. What's the economic view on the impact of the tariffs in 2025?
Not as bad as we thought, but no gain, no upside.
Mm-hmm.
Manufacturing in this country, manufacturing employment, they're still falling.
Yeah.
Our allies are mad at us. People pay higher prices. When I buy my favorite Rainier cherries from Chile, they're $9.99 a pound instead of $6.99 the year before.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of that? So I'm against it.
Against it. Well, we are certainly not against your appearances here. We love having you on the show, and we appreciate you taking the time to come chat with us. Thank you so much for coming.
Always
on the
a
show.
pleasure.
And
Always a pleasure.
I'm glad your 2026 is off to a great start. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Great to see you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Have a great rest of your day. Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service. If you want AI to handle your customer support, go to fin.ai. And I'm also going to tell you about Cognition. They're the makers of Devin, the AI software engineer. Crush your backlog with your personal AI engineering team. And up next, we have Cerebras in the Restream waiting room. Andrew Feldman is the co-founder and CEO, and we will have him join us in the TBPN Ultradome. Andrew, how are you doing?
He's back.
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
great, and we're
fantastically.
thrilled to not just have 5 minutes today. We have the last
We
time
really
you came
botched
on,
your
we completely
last
botched
appearance. So
our schedule.
thank you for taking
Giving us a second shot.
Giving us a second chance. There aren't many second chances in life, but we appreciate you taking one with us. But anyway, how are you doing? How's your new year going? I'd love to just hear the state of the business and the level of optimism going into 2026.
Look, I think it's an extraordinary time to be in. Well, first, thank you for inviting me back. I appreciate it. It's always good to talk to you guys.
Thanks.
Look, it's an extraordinary time to be in AI hardware.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have seen exceptional interest. We've seen validation in the market. We've been telling people for years that fast inference would be a separate category.
Yeah.
And so important was this new category that NVIDIA spent $20 billion to buy the number 2 player in it.
Wow.
And so what an exciting time
Yeah.
to see. I mean, you were just talking about the guys at Cognition,
Yeah.
big customer of bars, and what a great product, blisteringly fast, smart as can be, great coding tools. It is what we're seeing. Maybe a way to think about it is this: is that we had a GPT moment in 2023, where people first realized that AI was interesting, and in the second half of 25, people demonstrated it was useful.
Yeah.
Right. And that is exploding. They're finding different uses for it. These aren't demos. These are production use cases, and they're demanding vast amounts of AI compute underneath that.
Yeah, the fast inference thing is so. It's so obvious that it's become a meme. I'm sure you've seen these where people will be, joking about, well, I'm coding, and while I wait for my coding agent to come back to me, I open TikTok and I scroll vertical videos. And so I saw one guy made a script that as soon as he sends his prompt, it automatically opens them, and then it closes them as soon as it responds, so that he doesn't get sucked into a rabbit hole. But it's like it's brain rot, but it exposes a real behavior, which is that there's a lot of waiting involved in programming these days.
How cool is it that other people are making TikTok videos about your value proposition?
Yeah, exactly. It's like
how
royal
cool,
flush.
how often does that happen?
Never.
An entire ecosystem's creativity is being brought to bear on how shitty the competition is to use.
Yeah.
And what a cool thing.
Yeah. Since we have more time, I'd love to go back and actually get more of your full story, more of the story of the company, and sort of take us back in time to the initial idea, the first things that you did, all of that. So if you could sort of reintroduce yourself and the company, I think that would be a really good level-setting experience.
Great. I'm Andrew. I'm one of the founders, and with Sean and JP, Michael, and Gary, we founded Cerebras in early 2016. What we saw on the horizon then was the rising AI.
There's still going to be some soundboard here. The overnight success is real.
The overnight success.
It really has been, right? I mean, people were skeptical at various amounts of times, and I think people are finally getting it now.
Yeah, I think that when you build real things, right, you don't get the same sort of rate of growth that you have in a viral software, right? I mean, when you actually build physical things, there's components, there's factory, there's real manufacturing work that needs to happen. And especially when you do deep tech. And what we set out to do, what we saw on the horizon, was a new workload. That AI wasn't the same. It presented fundamentally different challenges to the computer. And that if we were able to build a new design, we would not be a little bit faster, not 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 times faster, that we could get to 10, 20, 30, 50x faster on this work. And the way to do it was to solve a problem that had been unsolved in the computer industry for 75 years. And that was how to build a really big chip. Most chips are the size of postage stamps. And our chip is the size of a dinner plate, right?
It's so good.
And so now it took an enormous amount of work to build.
Yeah, walk me through exactly, like you incorporate the company, and then you're doing design, and you're calling a manufacturer and saying, I got this crazy idea, and then I imagine like years go by until the first one comes off the line, you can actually test it. Like, what were those early days like?
They were unbelievably challenging. I think when you do when you do really hard work, your first one is like that first pancake. It's sort of messed up. Make the first pancake, and the pan isn't hot enough, and the pancake is all nasty, and it's like that. And we had an idea that we could solve this class of problems that had broken every other effort to build a big chip. And we spoke to backers that had vision and believed in us. And we put together one of the truly world-class chip teams in the industry. There are only about half a dozen world-class chip teams, and we have one of them. And then we laid out a plan, and we flew out to TSMC and said, we think we can do something with your process that nobody else has ever been able to do. And they listened, and to their enormous credit, they listened and said, shit, that's a good idea. And in the meeting, they greenlit it.
That's amazing.
It was amazing.
What was their what risks were they identifying? What was their pushback? I mean, even if they say, "Yeah, we'll take your money and we'll build this thing," what are they cautioning you about at that moment?
Also, I feel like if you're a founder, you get a lot of no's. Sometimes it's with customers, sometimes it's with investors or talent. But if you're building a chip and TSMC says no, like do you just go back to the drawing board? Like you got to give them that carries like quite a bit more weight than just an investor saying I'm gonna pass on this.
I mean, there's TSMC is the best in the business, and so we heard no's when you're interested in pioneering work, when you're interested in fearless engineering, you're going to hear no a lot because everybody's afraid of the problem that you're trying to attack. And when everybody's failed at a problem, then those who are medium, who lack vision, are always like, it'll never work, it can't be done, others failed.
Yeah.
And it takes a special type of person to say, well, just because others fail doesn't mean we need to fail. The world has changed, the tools are better, we have better insight, we can use architectural techniques to avoid some of the things that broke previous efforts. And so what we did is we went out, we studied the previous failures. And we came to believe that we could work around everything that had broken previous efforts. And we brought this back to our investors, and they're like, wow, this could be really big. And we tuned it, we flew out to TSMC, and they agreed. I think even when you do pioneering work, you encounter problems that nobody thought of.
Yep.
Right. I like to tell the story that, I mean, imagine before Everest was summited, you get to base camp and there's a team there having tea that just failed to summit. And you talk to them and you go, hey guys, and they say, there's this part about halfway up that's really, really hard. It beat us.
No one's ever gotten past it.
Right. And you go up and you come down and you're having tea with the same guys and you lean forward and say, that wasn't the hard part. Right. And when you do things that nobody else had ever done, you encounter things that nobody else has ever encountered. And we had to invent materials. We had to invent packaging techniques. The problem that caused, for example, the B200 to be 18 months late was a problem of the coefficient of thermal expansion that we'd solved in 2017. We saw it, we knew it was coming for them, and we'd solved it. The problem that caused the Dojo project at Tesla to fail, we'd predicted, we'd solved it in 2018. We had already encountered these problems. We'd found ways around them. And, what fun is it to be an engineer if you're doing the same stuff everybody else has done already? I mean, it's only fun when you're doing things.
What were the early kind of key customers that, because it's great if you can have a partner like TSMC that says, hey, you guys are onto something. Yeah. We want to be a part of this.
2016, there's no LLMs, right? So
there are no LLMs
who's
yet.
Doing AI that might be a potential customer?
That's right. So early customers included, a visionary group at GlaxoSmithKline, not who you think of as likely to bet on us.
Yeah.
Truly visionary group, and one of the, I think, truly great minds in the application of AI to pharma is a guy named Kim Branson, who runs AI for them. The military and the national labs, they were accustomed to understanding what could be done with blisteringly fast hardware.
Interesting.
And so our serial number 01 went to Argonne National Labs, part of the DOE infrastructure, and we have projects today with Argonne and with Sandia and the I guess Department of War, it's now called, that measure in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And so they were early customers, and they were willing to take early machines that were a little rough around the edges. And that was our first generation. Then we delivered the second generation a couple years later. and they got better and better. Then we delivered the third generation, and then it took off. And we had the rise of inference as a meaningful workload, and suddenly performance was everything.
Talk about that early critique that I heard, that part of what was going to be difficult about this was the fact that when you're operating on the wafer scale, if there's one defect, you throw the whole chip out, as opposed to with smaller chips. If there's a defect over here, well, I still get 80% of the chips.
No, that was the received wisdom. The received wisdom. Now remember how this works. I mean, imagine a wafer's like a big circle. Imagine it's a cookie sheet your mother rolled out into a circle. Yeah. She takes a handful of M&Ms and throws it up in the air, and they land throughout this. We'll call those the flaws, right? They're randomly distributed. Yeah. And say you can't have a cookie with M&Ms. Your mom goes like this and does a cookie cut through the entire thing. Yeah. And if there's an M&M in it, she has to throw away the cookie.
Yeah.
Okay? This is exactly how it works. Now, historically, the bigger her cookie cutter, the higher the probability she'd hit an M&M. Yeah. And the more good silicon around it, good cookie dough, would need to be thrown away. This was one of the problems everybody said could never be resolved, and we solved it in 15 months with $12 million. It wasn't even a hard problem.
That's incredible.
Right.
Wow.
Everybody,
okay.
to
Everybody
this
said
day,
this, yeah.
Everybody. And it worked like this. There is another way to solve that problem, and that's the way memory has solved it. Memory has lots of identical tiles. They're called bit cells. And in the array of bit cells on a chip, they have redundant rows and columns. And if there's a flaw, they map it out and use one of the redundant ones.
Interesting.
And that's it.
Yeah.
They're built to withstand flaws, not avoid them.
Oh, okay.
And so we looked at memory and said, nobody's ever done this in compute, but if we built a compute architecture with 1 million identical tiles, and we took 5% of them and we held them aside for redundancy, we could withstand almost all failure patterns. And so we thought about the problem differently. Yeah. And it was top of everybody's mind. They've just been taught that big chips have lower yield. They don't really understand the alternatives. In the same way, when Google first built their big data centers, they said, we don't want servers that are redundant. If they fail, we'll route around them. We don't want to pay the extra cost of making them high reliability. If they fail, we'll shut them down, we'll get new ones. We'll route around it.
So does that mean that from chip to chip, there might be a slight difference in the number of flops or power that can come out of the chip? Is that like a real thing? Not that it matters practically, but I'm just wondering.
We had to invent a way to communicate across that little bit of cookie dough between the two cookie cuts that your mother makes, right? She puts the cookie here, and she puts a cookie cutter here for her Christmas cookie, and there's a tiny little bit of dough. Yeah. Right? And usually what she does is she lifts all that bit of dough up and rolls it and makes some more cookies later. Yeah. But in the chip world, that's called the scribe line. Okay. And they run a laser across it, and that's how they dice the chips. That's how they cut them. Yeah. They obliterate that tiny little bit of distance. We had to invent a technique to run communication across those. And we had to use the tools that were already being operated at TSMC. Yeah. And so, we benefited from the fact that we had this extraordinary chip expertise, not just how to write logic to make the chip work, but the back-end design, what we call the physical design and timing. We knew EDA tools, and we knew manufacturing of chips. And so we were able to think very differently than most companies.
How does intellectual property play into this category? In so many tech startups. They say, don't worry about patents, worry about your network effect. This feels very different. What's your IP strategy broadly?
Deep technology companies have to worry about technology.
Yeah.
Statement
of the century.
You've been talking to SaaS guys a lot, right? They worry about virality, and they worry about network effects. We worry about the fact that we can build things nobody else can build.
Yeah.
And that is a combination of protecting your IP with patents, with trade secrets, with segmenting your manufacturing so your manufacturers can't see.
Oh, interesting.
The interaction between steps. It's using all the tools and all the wisdom in your in your toolbox to defend your invention. And sometimes patenting is not the right.
Yeah.
When you patent, you have to disclose.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have to disclose something that is then very difficult to tell if somebody else used, you might want to think about not patenting it.
Yeah.
And so generally you want to patent things that you can then measure if someone stole. And so we have a very aggressive patent strategy, but we also have a very aggressive trade secret strategy and a collection of other tools that we use to defend our inventions.
Talk to me about space data centers. It seems like if it does work, if the heating question is solved, you probably don't want a server rack with a ton of chips in space. That seems like more to manage, more networking. Wafer-scale compute in space could be a logical extension of that. Are you excited about that? Have you dug into it? Has it been something that's been on your roadmap
Actually, I
from
was
day one?
digging into it this weekend with some friends. I think the following. I think one of the real weaknesses of today's GPUs is by being little tiny chips, it has put a lot of pressure on how you tie them together, right? And this is why NVIDIA bought Mellanox.
Yeah.
Why did it make sense? Because they knew that the individual chip would be far less powerful than a collection of chips. And if you're going to bring a collection of chips to a problem, you have to tie them together. Now, that problem is made more complicated in space, right?
Yeah.
You would like bigger blocks up in space. I think there are a lot of hard problems yet to be solved with data centers in space. I think we ought to be working on them, but I don't think it's something that you're going to see in production in the 3 to 5 year time frame.
Sure. What about on the topic of cooling? We were just talking to Jeremy from SemiAnalysis about how Meta changed their data center design from this H structure that was air cooled, very efficient. It took them 2 years. They couldn't do water cooling. Now they're doing water cooling in their new data centers, the tents. What have you learned about various ways to cool? What's special about your product specifically with regard to cooling and energy management?
So look, this is not a complicated problem.
I love it. I'm
in
sure.
New
Yeah,
England-
you want to employ me? You want me to handle it? It's not complicated, right?
I got it.
I can do it.
In Buffalo,
Yeah.
at a Bills game, there are
Yeah.
always 3 idiots who have their shirt off, right? It's 10 below,
Okay.
and they've got their shirt off.
Yeah.
And, right, they've been drinking hard, but they're not dead.
Yeah.
Why aren't they dead? Because if you're in the water and the water's 45 degrees and you're there for 8 minutes, you're dead. Why is that? It's because water's really good at sucking heat off heat sources.
Yeah.
Right? We say in the technology, the thermal density of water is really high. It rips heat off you. Whereas the air doesn't do that. So they can stand there with their shirt off and not be dead. It's the exact same thing when you're cooling a chip. That water has an ability to pull heat off a heat source that is vastly better than air. So you have 2 choices. You can blow cold air over your chip, and you don't get the same cooling effect as if you ran cold water against the back of your chip or against the back of a cold plate. And so it is more efficient by an order of magnitude to use liquid, water in particular is great and low cost, to pull heat off the back of chips. And we were among the first to do it. Google started doing it with their TPUs in 2017. It had been done previously in the supercompute world exclusively. And now, we do it, been doing it for years.
And gamers, I remember you build a gaming rig, you get liquid cooling if you want that extra juice. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Gamers have been doing it forever because they want to run those GPUs hot.
Yeah, totally.
And Facebook was, they learned a lesson and they jumped on it.
Well, they were optimizing for one thing, which was this
That's
energy coefficient, and now they're optimizing for speed and new scale, and so they have a different set of optimization parameters, and they adjusted their strategy. What else in the supply chain have you had to find partners for or develop in-house? I know you have experience actually building servers, but how much else changes when I'm racking your product versus an NVIDIA product from the energy that's outside to the land to the building to we talked about the cooling. What else is different? How'd you solve those to actually stand up whole data centers?
Right. So we designed to fit in the exact same footprint as an NVIDIA
rack
NVL72.
There you go.
Right. And so we are underneath that envelope. We will fit in any data center designed for that. There are fewer little boxes to stuff in because we have a bigger box, but we fit in the standard racks.
Yeah.
You just roll them in. They're exactly the same as you bought for your Dell servers or your Supermicro servers, or your Arista switches. We fit in exactly the same. We use the same power. We require the same cooling that all high-end AI chips now use. And so we were able to sort of fit in the envelope that they carved out to make it really easy for data center operators and owners to roll us in.
And then on the demand side, are customers who want to use your chips asking, hey, we'd love for you to rack these with the hyperscalers or set up a deep relationship with a bunch of neo clouds, or they want to buy and operate themselves, or they want you to build the data center and just offer basically like an API for them or VM?
All of them. All of the above. We have an API service.
Yeah.
It's ripping right now. We have customers who buy the hardware and ask us to operate and manage it for them in their facilities. We have customers who buy the hardware and they operate it and manage it in their facilities. We have customers that the whole gamut. You can buy our hardware, you can rent it by the week, the month, the token from various clouds. So it's the customers have sort of consolidated around either they have a demand to buy hardware and operate it on one side, or they're sort of under 30 and have grown up in the cloud world and don't want to think about hardware. They want to think about tokens, and then they pay by the token.
How what use cases outside of the coding agents you mentioned, Cognition working with you, that one seems super logical in the sense that people are waiting for these agents to complete their really long rollouts, really long, like tons of tokens generated to build a whole app or build a new feature. Where else are you excited about the potential of not just AI this year, but faster AI and faster inference having an impact that might be tangible to someone like a software developer or even a consumer?
I think some of the use cases we've seen in pharma are extraordinarily interesting. I think
so. That feels weird to me because if I'm developing a drug, it's going to take me 3 months to get mouse data. It doesn't feel like a couple minutes matters. What's going on in pharma?
I think it is exactly because the process is so long and painful and expensive that if you can rip a year out of an 18 process where the whole patent is only good for 27 years, you've made a huge difference.
Interesting.
And so you can run more experiments in less time.
Interesting.
And the probability that once you run these experiments, you have to go to the wet lab, which is much slower. The probability that the one you select out of the simulation, out of the AI, is a good one and makes sense to go to the wet lab and take to the next level increases dramatically.
Yeah.
I think the act of being a researcher, right, is really one that AI is particularly well suited to help. You want to scan the literature. You want to make sure that whether it's in Chinese or French or English, that if there's a publication about the gene you're studying, that you're on top of it. You want to be able to scan the literature.
Yeah.
And
basically, every question is a deep research report. And
that's
so
right. That's right.
You want to go, if you can go from half an hour to 2 minutes, that's some huge speed up in your workflow.
That's right. And so what you're speeding up is the researcher.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you're increasing the number of questions they can ask per unit time.
Yep. Yeah.
And that is a very, very exciting application.
Yeah. Jordy?
Out of your sweet spot, but how do you expect the memory and CPU market to evolve this year?
I think first, memory has historically been an extraordinarily cyclical market, right? I mean, it has had painful troughs and crazy high prices both. And I think right now what you're seeing is a tremendous amount of demand for HBM, which is a form of DRAM. I think those fabs aren't easy to build, so additional capacity isn't easy to bring up. And so you've had this steep upswing of GPUs, which are heavily dependent on this HBM. And as a result, all the capacity for DRAM has sort of moved towards HBM. That's made traditional DRAM and servers more expensive. When it gets more expensive, the hyperscalers panic may be the wrong word, but their response is to place orders for the full year, which causes the Dell and the server builds to go, holy crap, I need to buy more, right? And you just watch this sort of crescendo of price exploding, right? You just see this huge movement in prices as everybody worries that they're not going to get it, so they place all their orders for next year early. So it looks like the year is going to be way bigger than it actually is going to be, and that's what's happening right now.
How are you thinking about the financial management of the business? You raised the 1.1 billion Series G last year. Are you thinking of building the company for a really long time in the private markets, taking it public?
Thank you for the sound. That's perfect.
Yeah, we need it.
That's what
hit the gong again.
Hit the gong properly.
There you
I appreciate it.
But where do you see the company going? How do you want to operate? What makes sense in 2026?
Yeah, unlike some of our competitors, we sought to run a business that could be measured on traditional financial metrics. Right? We like.
I love just taking shots on the way into that answer.
Look, I mean, I think we do. We seek to run a business that people can look at and understand. And our gross margins we're better than all our startup competitors. We're growing faster and we're bigger, and so I think that's really.
Let's go. Give him the foghorn.
You guys got to tell me, like in a pre-briefing, what the various sounds mean, so I know what
they're all positive.
This is the heavy tanker ship.
You'll know if it's the wah wah.
All right,
the heavy tanker ship is backing up the truck for big business. We love it.
All right. I think we raised the money because we had a ton of opportunity to continue to invest in the business to produce extraordinary growth. I mean, that's the right reason to raise money, right? You raise money because the opportunities in front of you are large and many, and maybe have a time element to them. So attacking them quickly is of value. And so that's why everybody. I mean, if you go out and raise money from other people, that's why you should do it. Is because your opportunity set is ripe for pursuit. And so that's what we did. I think we will deploy it in expanding manufacturing, which is a real value in the acquisition of additional data center capacity, a collection of other things, expansion internationally. These are all things that the business is asking for right now.
Let's hear it for opportunities that are ripe for pursuit. I like that
And traditional
phrase.
financial
I like pursuits
metrics.
and traditional financial metrics.
See those a
How
lot.
can
When in the past has it been worth a clap to say that you like positive gross margins, that you'd like
Only
to?
on
You'd be
TBPN.
surprised. You'd be surprised. We've had some people.
Only on TBPN.
We have people come on. They're trying to bait people by saying, "I don't care about gross margin. I don't care about." Gross
Yeah, they
margin."
do. They do. We care here, and we thank you for caring as well.
What can people expect
Yeah.
out of big any big announcements in the pipeline?
And how
You
can
don't have
people
to
work
share
with you?
specifics, but
Yeah, I'm interested. in how
I
people
think
can work with
you can go to Cerebras.ai and you can try you can see how fast it is yourself, right? I think the beautiful thing about the cloud is that it's a dead simple to demo and to try. And we've got a free tier, jump on it, play around. Ask a GLM model, which is a great coding model, just ask it to make a video game for you. All right, and you will see in 3 seconds it'll make Space Invaders for you. And that will be real code,
Yeah.
right? Ask it to play pool, to make a two-player pool game, or if you're a physics nut, a 3-ball interaction according to laws of physics. I mean, just ask it to do interesting things,
cool.
and you will see right away the joy, how fun it is to engage with an AI that is truly interactive.
That's amazing.
And I think that's the best marketing. If you go there and you enjoy it, send us a note. We'll follow up. But play with the AI. I mean, it's
Fantastic.
screamingly fun.
just use it.
Well, thank you
Underrated.
so much for taking the time to come chat with us.
Yeah,
we hope
great
you have a
to-
great rest of your day, and
Great to
congrats
have
on all the progress.
enough
So
time to
glad we
really
could do that.
chat. And yeah, congrats on all the
Guys,
progress.
thank you for having me back.
Of
It's very much
course.
appreciated.
Anytime.
We'll see you soon.
Anytime. We'll see you
All
soon.
right, guys.
Goodbye. Vibe.co, where D2C brands, B2B startups, and AI companies advertise on streaming TV, pick channels, target audiences, and measure sales, just like on Meta.
Well said, John.
And I'm also going to tell you about Console. You see it here on the sticker. Console builds AI agents that automate 70% of IT, HR, and finance support, giving employees instant resolution for access requests and password resets.
Let's go.
We are now entering our lightning round.
There you
The
go.
Lambda lightning round. That is
have
real. The cloud is real. It is lightning in the
Nathan
Ultradome.
from Terra
Nathan.
coming in.
Nathan
Let's
is
welcome
in the
to-
Reach Room waiting
into
room.
the
Let's bring
show.
him into the TBPN Ultradome. Nathan, how are you doing?
Very good.
Thanks so much for taking the time to hop
Dude,
on the show.
Love the shirt. Is that
Fantastic shirt.
it almost looked, I thought it was a jacket for a second. Very, very cool.
Looks great. Please introduce yourself. Introduce the company.
Yeah, awesome. I am Nathan, co-founder and CEO of Terra Industries. I'm a 22-year-old software engineer. And essentially, we're building Africa's first modern defense prime.
Wow. And what got you into the industry? What were you doing before? How did you recognize this opportunity?
Well, I began my journey in tech when I was 15. Had an accident that made me lose my
Overnight
sight.
success.
And at some point during the pandemic, I was 17 at this time. I went on to launch my first, startup that was solving like the education crisis, especially in emerging markets. And that allowed me to understand that basically, if we truly want to help industrialize the continent, if we truly want to help push Africa towards like a massive industrial growth, we have to solve much more foundational infrastructural problems. And I started to think around, what is the single problem that we could solve today that could basically cut across every industry? And that's, what that common denominator was security. So sometime in 2024, I and my co-founder, Maxwell Maduka, we decided that we want to start Terra Industries to essentially give Africa the technological edge needed to defend itself, its resources, and its critical infrastructure.
Sure. How are you thinking about the first products? There's a lot of defense technology companies that focus on drones or maritime or ground autonomy. There's a whole bunch of different products. I imagine you want to build them all eventually, but do you have a foothold that you want to dominate in first?
Yeah, so for us, we're thinking quite multi-domain. The question for us is how can you protect this critical assets from all sorts of threats. And right now, these evolving threats are coming from the air, from land, and from sea. So in the aerial domain, we have our long-range and short-range drones. In the ground domain, we have our sentry towers. And soon, in the maritime domain, we'll be deploying some USVs that will be carrying out large-scale maritime surveillance.
Sure.
All these different systems are being powered by one unified software platform that carries out data intelligence, collecting all this data from all these different systems, synthesizing that data, and allowing the security agencies to identify and track threats in real time. So this is basically what we're trying to do. You could almost think of it as kind of like the same strategy that Palantir did in the West, but the major difference is we also have to build out the hardware infrastructure that is collecting this data, because there is no like previous surveillance infrastructure that allows us to basically plug in our software platform.
How does the procurement process work in Nigeria? How is there a program of record concept? Are there grants for smaller projects? What's the go-to-market?
You guys already
What's the
have
sales
a couple $1 million in revenue. It
Yeah.
sounds like that's growing quickly.
How did that come together?
Yeah, when we first started the company, we focused mostly on privately owned infrastructure assets, lower barrier to entry, shorter sales cycle that allowed us to rapidly scale. Mostly owned by like corporations and billionaires. But over time, we're able to build an impressive enough portfolio that allowed us to then sell to governments and militaries. So the defense contracting model in Africa is like fundamentally very different from how it's done in the West. In the West, it's quite bureaucratic. It could take you 1 to 2 years before you get to like a program of record. In Africa, it's quite very network based, and also very solution first. So essentially, no one is really expecting you to write dozens of proposals and come to office and present them like PowerPoints. They're expecting you already have a solution to their problem.
Sure.
So in a very funny way, the Andrew approach of like taking R&D head on and having the actual products to then go carry out live demos on the field works perfectly for the model of defense contracting on the continent. And that has allowed us to scale very rapidly. And that is something that most Western companies don't understand. Both Western, Chinese, they come here with papers. And they end up, wasting a lot of time and not really being very productive.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a dual use opportunity? I can imagine people that have various assets on the continent. That could be oil and gas. They want to, I can imagine maybe your sentry towers are applicable, drones, et cetera. Even for non-kinetic solutions, just surveillance from a security standpoint. What kind of opportunities are you guys pursuing there?
Yeah, we don't do kinetic at all. So we are entirely focused on building surveillance.
Sure.
Because, essentially the Nigerian army today has enough firepower to, basically destroy any terrorist group in West Africa. Wow. The problem with insecurity in Africa today is not the lack of firepower, it's the lack of intelligence, the lack of visibility. Understanding where these attacks are coming from, how it's being perpetrated, looking at previous attacks to sort of like part out a pattern recognition that can help you predict future attacks. This is the major issue. So what Terra is trying to do is build that intelligence and surveillance layer across the continent, not necessarily, building kinetics. We don't ever intend to get into kinetics. I think it's the sort of struggle and war that African governments are fighting against terror does not require us getting into kinetics. What they really just need is visibility. And that kind of takes me into like my second point of like data sovereignty. Because today when we announced the round, there was a lot of, viral tweets of how Palantir is now in Africa. We are sellouts and stuff like that. So I want to just make it very clear, this is an investment from, yes, a Palantir co-founder and several other VCs, but this is the technology that is entirely owned by Nigerians, is built by us, is managed by us, is operated by us. We have no direct relationship with Palantir.
Sure.
We don't share any data with Palantir. So that's just something to just make very clear.
No, that's a good point to make. Obviously, as you scale a business, you're going to need to hire a lot of people. Where are the great talent pools in Nigeria or Africa broadly? What's the Stanford? What's the Waterloo? What's the Y Combinator? Where will you be sourcing candidates from?
Yeah. First off, Nigerians are some of the smartest people you could ever meet. Very underrated talent base.
Yeah.
There's already a lot of software talent on the continent, mostly because of that fintech boom of the
M-Pesa.
Exactly, M-Pesa, Paystar, sort of wave.
Sure.
So there's a lot of existing software talent, and in terms of hardware, there was basically a hidden hardware base, that have been working mostly with the military. They have been doing a lot of side projects. They have never been able to kind of commercialize their skills at scale. And, what we essentially did was we went to these communities and we hired the entire communities.
The entire community, I love it.
Community acquisition.
That's great.
So for us, really, in scaling talent, it goes beyond Nigeria, because part of our strategy is we want to build a decentralized manufacturing network. So having a factory in each sub-region. Our manufacturing base right now in Nigeria would serve West Africa. In the next couple of months, we'll be opening a factory in East Africa to serve the East African region. And the reason that we're doing this is, first of all, it's much easier in terms of supply chain and logistical networks. But second, the threats that are being faced in each of these regions are actually quite different. In West Africa, you have threats mostly in the Saharan, very hot climates, very desert climates. You're mostly deploying aerial and ground systems. But when you come to East Africa, you have issues, for example, with mostly in the maritime, with the Somalian pirates. Where you would mostly have to deploy, maritime systems. So you can't essentially have one centralized factory building for the continent. Africa is too big for that, too big, too complex. You have to basically use this decentralized manufacturing network. So each factory we open would tap the local base of the region it is situated at.
Sure.
Exactly.
Give us the information on the round. You raised some money. We want to hit the gong for you. How much did you raise?
$11.75 million.
Congratulations.
There we go.
And thank you for taking the time to come chat with us here.
Yeah, great to meet you. I'm sure you'll be back on very soon. And congrats to the whole team on a very cool milestone and getting a great group of people involved. You got 8VC, of course, Valor Equity, Lux Capital.
Wow.
SV Angel,
what a row.
Silent, Mickey
Malka's in.
Alex Moore, let's go.
Let's go. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.
Great hanging.
Goodbye. Phantom Cash. Fund your wallet without exchanges or middlemen, and spend with the Phantom card. You see the ticker with the crypto prices in the bottom of the stream. That's from Phantom. And before we bring in our next guest, I'll also tell you about Lambda. Lambda is the super intelligence cloud, building AI supercomputers for training and inference that scale from 1 GPU to hundreds of thousands. So up next, we're going over to LM Arena. Anastasios, welcome to the stream. How are you doing?
Hey, brother. How's it going? Nice to see you.
It's going fantastically. It's going extremely well for you. You raised some money recently. Let's kick it off with a big gong smash. How much did you raise?
150 million. Value 1.7 plus. Pretty good stuff.
Fantastic.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Now,
okay.
what do you do? How do you make
so,
money?
our friend was just joking around. This account Near. They were saying LM Arena raised at a $1.7 billion valuation, and they were using the Michael Burry.
Very rude. Very rude.
But they're
just
they're just joking around. But it's okay because you're here to tell us why that's a deal of a lifetime.
Yeah. Explain.
Listen, evaluation's a big problem. Evaluation's a big problem. People don't know how to solve it. You have all these different AIs, the space becoming more complicated.
Sure.
You have different modalities, different models that are doing all these people competing in coding, competing in software engineering, competing in the general chat. You have models from China, models from the US. Who are you going to pick? Let's say you're a consumer, you're a developer,
Well, yeah. Even a business, you're going to make a decision that you're going to spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on that. You got to make sure you make the right decision.
Yeah, procurement's a big market.
Sure.
And all these problems are huge. I mean, and the ultimate problem is, how do you help people find the best solution for them? And as a neutral platform, of course, it needs to be separate from the labs. It needs to be a third party that does this. We're positioned well to attack it.
So I imagine, independent, we were joking around that if you ever wanted to return the capital, you could get one of the labs to pay you $10 billion just to put them in permanently hard-coded at the top of the rankings. You'd be out of business in 12 months, but you'd walk away with a pretty penny.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't think that's what's happening. How do you make money?
Value if you do that.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you make money then?
Well, what we do is we help labs and enterprises get analytics on how well their models are doing, help them understand the strengths and weaknesses of their models in different domains, like math, coding, instruction following, multi-turn. Think about it like a full body scan of your model. And what distinguishes us from the standard benchmark is that it's all live, so you can't overfit it because there's constantly new data coming in.
Oh, interesting.
And it's on real users. So we have tens of millions of real users that are coming to LLM Arena using AI for like this huge diversity of different tasks. And that's, of course, the data that's used as the basis for these analytics.
Yep. Talk to me about the proliferation of different LM Arena categories. I imagine there's a exponential curve there as different models have different capabilities. We're not just testing math and science reasoning and chatting ability, and there's so many of these. So how fast is it growing? How are you setting up your system to handle potentially tens of thousands of different benchmarks and models? Like how is that growing and scaling?
That is a great question, and I think that we're honestly still developing what that big roadmap looks like. But that being said, here's where we're starting. We have a bunch of different categories. I mentioned a few earlier, like math, coding, instruction following, but we've recently also dug in a little bit more to look at different types of users, basically almost like user research, expert users. What are experts saying about all these different models? We have a leaderboard for that. Occupational categories, law, medicine, business. Which models are best for these different categories of usage? Marketing. We have that information on LLM Arena, so that it's a one-stop shop for you to understand the different economically valuable industry-level performance of these models. But if you really think about it, the long-term vision of this sort of thing, it's almost like every individual should have their own evaluation. Which model is best for you? The Technology Brothers. Technology Brothers eval. It needs to have its own kind of thing because you're doing your own tasks and they might be very different from what I'm doing. And so eventually the future you can imagine of building a technology like this, we're building the infrastructure to do this, is to have evals for every individual person on Earth.
How do you incentivize people to participate on the voting side, the ranking side? That human element's really important in terms of grading different LLMs. What's the current incentive structure? How is that evolving? What are the challenges that come up with running a multi-sided marketplace like this?
Very good question. Incentives are really, really important. If you think about it, incentive is almost like a little hack into the human brain that tells you how to move, how to operate. Right? So that's why games are so powerful. Games can get you into an incentive system that's just like, hey, I'm Flappy Bird, or I'm doing my Candy Crush, and I'm just swiping. We do not really incentivize users on LLM Arena to vote. And that's part of the power of the platform. Is that unlike, let's say we were to pay people to vote, we don't do that. The reason we don't do that is because we want them only coming to do their real job. They come because they get value out of the platform, and they vote only because they want to, because they're intrinsically motivated, because they got something to say. You can imagine if you incorporate incentives that it might hurt the leaderboard. So we're very careful about the way that we go about that. However, we are exploring how can we design the incentives in sort of incentive compatible way in order to preserve the integrity of the leaderboard while also rewarding people to vote. That's on our minds, but not yet done.
How confident are you that you can encode big model smell into the taste, the vibes into a ranking?
Well, if you look at the leaderboard, it's there. It's there for you to see.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it does reflect it. And it goes to show how powerful human preference can actually be, that people are seeing things that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate. And that's why when model developers develop their model, the big problem is when I put it out into the real world in the wild, what's going to be the performance like? I don't know unless I see it. And that's because people react in these, strange ways when they see a model for the first time. That's part of the power of this platform, is that it puts it in front of those people, and then we give analytics to try to understand how different individuals, what are the different usage patterns and who's voting for what. And so you can code things like big model smell, identify, but it's not uncommon that model providers will find out through us that their model's really great at math or really great at coding, and they didn't even actually ever know.
What does it take to get a model on LM Arena? Is it something that the lab is giving you preview access to? Is there an application form? Do you already have relationships with these folks? Is there
So we have a contact form on our website that you can use if you want to, submit a model. Of course, we have capacity constraints, but we try to be judicious and let, everybody participate in the battle. In terms of paying.
Someone was asking DeepSeek
R4 to get on the leaderboard.
DeepSeek R4. Well, what does it take to get a model like that on the platform?
We'd love to get DeepSeek R4 on the platform. I don't know, maybe it's already in progress.
Okay, yeah. How much does hardware matter here? We were just talking to Andrew from Cerebras about the speed that comes from that. There's an element where plenty of people would rather use a dumber model if it's 10 times as fast or vice versa, right? And so you have to create an apples-to-apples situation, most likely, or at least pre-cache the results so then you're not noticing speed. But do you think that speed trade-offs will become a bigger piece of what you do? How do you think about that?
Yeah, there's no question about it. Really, what the ultimate question that people have is, how do I, for myself or my organization or whatever, choose along the Pareto frontier of speed, performance, and cost?
Yeah.
Right? Those are the three things. And usually it's performance and speed, number one and number two.
Yeah.
Because everybody's spending so much money right now that it's like, ring the gong again, so much money.
Why not?
There you go. Go to the gong. Money being spent, baby. Now, the issue with that is there's the gong twice. Let's go. The speed, if you don't equalize it, you can get bias in the ratings.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to be able to disentangle speed versus performance, and that requires us equalizing.
Sure.
But if you go to direct chat mode, you can use the model, see it just as it is, and we're planning on expanding the leaderboard to get more of the speed in there, the latency, as well as costs, so that people can make all those trade-offs right on our platform.
Yep. That makes sense.
Would you ever do anything at the application layer, or does it just get too chaotic because UI is a new variable and there's all these other factors?
I mean, this is application. LM Arena is an application, no?
Yeah, sure, but I'm talking about two legal AI tools and trying to, because if you go down the procurement route and and that becomes, I don't know if that becomes a big.
You could
business.
see like a G2 cloud type of business here as well, although I have no idea if that makes any sense for you. But
totally understood. But so the thing is that it's hard to do that for our users, right? Because then we need to build 10 different product surfaces or 100 different product surfaces. Yeah. And that's one of the exciting things about the ecosystem right now is that it's actually the fundamental product surface where things are evolving very quickly, and also a lot of value is being aggregated, right? There's a reason why, number one revenue stream of OpenAI is consumer. Right? Yeah. It's a consumer application.
Yeah.
And other companies have different strategies, but ours cannot be to replicate every application.
Yeah.
So what the value that we hope to provide, again, is to help people understand the different trade-offs of different models, evaluate them for their use cases, procurement, so on and so forth. And that might mean helping enterprises link together with their feedback, understand their users better, perhaps, warm starting from the large user base that we have, and giving them those analytics and tools to help them make decisions. That's how I can imagine us moving into the application workflow.
Yeah.
Will you ever create a romance benchmark?
I think it's a good idea.
How quickly?
I think it's a good idea.
What models make people fall in love?
Comedy benchmark would be.
Let me ask you: Are you asking that for any specific reason?
Got him.
Got me. We talk about comedy. Comedy bench. It's difficult. It's something we try to test internally.
Yeah.
They usually end up being funny because they're so not funny.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal.
It can be brutal. Or if it is good, it's like recycling. Like clearly it went to Reddit, copied the top joke, and then just regurgitated it.
Well, did it ever make you laugh? Has it made you laugh before?
Yes, but accidentally. But when it's accidental, it's amazing. It's the best.
I see, yeah.
Where did the idea for this come from? What was the inciting moment to start the company?
Well, so there's to start the company, and there's the idea. I've been personally working on LM Arena for almost 3 years now, along with Wei Lin and Jan. And there was actually a big group of students at Berkeley.
Sure.
This came from an academic project. I was doing my PhD on like theoretical statistics, theoretical machine learning, kind of abstract. I was in a basement proving theorems. I had no idea that I would be.
He built this in the basement with scraps.
Scraps.
He built it in a cave
seriously,
with scraps.
there were rats in the ceiling.
No way.
Not kidding.
I'm glad you have $150 million for a new office. Hopefully it's nice.
Go Bears, baby. And so what ended up happening is that I got looped into this project that was happening at Skylab, which is, Jan and Joey Gonzalez and, Luca and all these people at Skylab were working on it. Mm-hmm. That's the lab where Databricks came out of and Anyscale and Ray and so on. Yeah. And they were working on how do we evaluate early days of ChatGPT. There was Model A and Model B. One was doing better than the other on the benchmarks. Then you would chat with them. And it's like, hey, these benchmarks are not reflective of how good it is at talking to me. Mm-hmm. So how are we going to measure that? It was in the context of one of their early open source models called Vicuña that they had developed. Mm-hmm. And so the sort of pairwise preference, hey, chat with the models and see which one you like better, that strategy emerged from there, but it started with Amazon gift cards. It didn't start from organic usage. It started from passing around Amazon gift cards to people at Berkeley. And then it sort of, popped, and then it went down and kind of sat at 30 users a day for a little while, and then it grew and grew and grew, in large part due to Wei Lin's sort of consistent effort and Twitter and so on.
Awesome.
Up until the point where it became this juggernaut.
True overnight success.
Juggernaut mode.
To see it over here. And thank you so much for taking the time to come
great to have you on.
Congrats on all the progress.
Hey, great to see you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Year.
Yeah, you too.
Have a
Cheers,
good one.
dude.
We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. Turbo Puffer, serverless vector and full text search, built from first principles on object storage, fast, 10x cheaper, and extremely scalable.
Out of Shopify.
Yeah.
Which is relevant to our next guest.
It is. We'll bring them in a second. But DeepSeek founder is running a hedge fund as well, in addition to building DeepSeek. Guess how much they're up? 57% last year. Massive year. That's high flyer. Boasting the potential war chest for a company that's already shaken up the global tech landscape.
Is this good for the AI?
It's good for the open source
race?
community. It's good for academics. What do you think, Tyler?
Oh, I have some other breaking news.
Give me some breaking news.
Okay, so Anthropic, they have Claude Code. They launched Cowork, which is Claude Code for the rest of your work.
No way.
So it's like everything else.
That's crazy.
It's very exciting. It's basically like a local app.
Oh, it's a local app, so you don't need to do the terminal stuff anymore. You can just use it in an app with a prompt box.
Yes,
That's
and then
amazing.
it can interact with all like your local files, whatever. And then
this is going to be really, really big.
I don't know if you guys have used the Claude Chrome extension, but it's like super good.
I have.
The computer use is super good.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is very exciting.
Okay. Yeah. Get ready for some threads, people. People are going to be breaking it down on all the fun things they had to do. I fixed my Wi-Fi in under an hour by rebooting it. But no, seriously, I was listening to Doug O'Loughlin from SemiAnalysis talk about how he uses Claude Code in a knowledge work setting, and it's fascinating. So he'll kick off one deep research report about one company that he's researching, then a few more, and then he'll do a deep research report on top of that. But instead of it all living in the Claude web UI, it's just creating markdown files that then he stores in Obsidian, and then he can run these meta deep research reports on the other deep research reports that he's put together, interact with whatever's going on in the SemiAnalysis private data world, all the data that they've collected, interact with their Slack. They have a Slack bot that interacts with it, and so he was talking. He was very, very one shot by Claude Code and was saying everything is a skill issue now. Everything is a skill issue now, much like generating AI voices, but thankfully we have 11 labs. Build intelligent, real-time conversational agents, reimagine human technology interaction with 11 labs. Star Wars has already begun in reality. Ask a ski resort in China. There is a robot that's skiing. This feels like it should be AI, but I believe it's not. I believe this is real. This is remarkable. You don't have to go skiing anymore thanks to AI. Cancel the skiing trip. I have a ski trip coming up at the end of February.
Canceled.
Canceled. I'm sending
It's
this
over.
guy instead.
Yeah, just watch the video stream. You don't have to put on the boots.
Realistically,
you don't have to go get cold. You don't have to sit on the lift. You don't have to be in lift lines.
Yep.
You've
seen the drone that will follow you as you ski and takes really cinematic video.
Yeah.
How could it be more cinematic? Get the camera at waist height.
And you
this
can go
is elite.
You can go way harder. Hit the double black. Hit the cliffs. Right. You don't even have to worry about rocks.
No,
right. Like,
no, he's
you
just
don't have to worry
tumbling
about
down on the
snow covered.
skis. This is fantastic. I love the idea of having a robot follow me with a camera. I don't know what else you would use this for. Ski patrol, surveillance. I don't know why they built this, other than it's really cool and fun. But the obvious use case is Red Bull viral videos, probably.
Yeah. So
That's
the
what I'm
use
hoping
case
for.
here is obviously this is the new ski patrol.
Love
There's
it.
thousands of these on the mountain, and they monitor your speed in real time. And if you're going, if you're skiing recklessly, it just skis into you and explodes. And so instead of
really
instead of
enforce the
instead of
rules of
getting
the
your
road.
pass pulled, you
Yes.
just get your life pulled.
That
It's
makes
over.
a ton of sense.
So, anyways, that is a dark sci-fi future.
Well, I have a
No.
prediction from Guillermo from Vercel, but first, let me tell you about Railway. Railway simplifies software deployment. Web apps, servers, and databases run in one place with scaling, monitoring, and security built in. Guillermo says there's definitely a non-zero chance that we get, quote, generate your own GTA 6 in a few minutes before GTA 6. I think that mechanically it's possible, but the humor is what makes GTA so special, the writing and the character development. I mean, also the mechanics are very unique. It's not just a walking simulator. I don't know. Have you played GTA?
Yeah, I mean, but Sholto's game looks pretty good. He
Oh, yeah?
put out a screenshot of it. I trust Sholto to make GTA.
Are you
Are
in
you
the-
sure it's not just an image gen output? He's like, look
Yeah,
at this
maybe.
crazy game I made.
I mean, the Grok folks are known to put up some viral videos espousing video game development, but clearly video game development is here. It's going to happen. But we have our next guest, and guess what ad I have to read before he comes on? Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform that grows with your business and lets you sell in seconds online, in-store, on mobile, on social, and on marketplaces, and now with AI agents, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We have Harley from Shopify in the TBPN
How'd we do?
Ultra
How'd we
Dome.
do?
How'd
Wow.
we do?
That is was that planned? That was amazing.
No, it's somewhat random, but we timed it up perfectly. But we're very excited.
Speaking of random, I've never done an interview in my life. I am at NRF,
I
the
love
biggest
this.
retail show in the world.
Very cool.
There are 40,000 people here. This
Yes.
is the Shopify booth behind me.
Wow.
There's going to be random people walking by.
Amazing.
This
I
is
see
the
that
best way to
snowboard
do
there,
it.
that
Wait,
little
so
Easter egg.
That's how it all started. That's
Yeah,
how it all
I know.
started right
Wow,
there. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So you're in person, but today we're talking about
Where's NRF? Is that Vegas?
Javits Center.
Javits
Javits Center, New York City.
Cool. That's fun.
Everyone, it's sort of the largest conference actually on the planet for retail and commerce. It used to be more about the traditional retailers, but we've sort of hijacked it and made it about modern retail, direct to consumer technology companies.
You're kind of behind
and it's-
enemy lines there. I mean, you do have a POS system, so it makes sense.
We have a
but-
POS system.
Yeah.
But actually, and they've given me the keynote 4 years in a row, which is pretty cool.
Not
And today for
bad.
my keynote, I brought up Emma from Skims, which is
cool.
amazing. And Ben Francis from Gymshark. We talked about basically this
that.
idea that there'll be more billion-dollar brands built in the next 10 years than the last 100 years. And both Emma, I mean, think about Gymshark and Skims. They're like 10 years old, and they're dominating. So it was really fun, and we made some big announcements.
Yeah, I mean, what's the key to building a billion-dollar brand if you're starting in 2026? It feels like it's incredibly crowded, and yet there's a new breakout brand every year. What advice are you giving to people that get started, other than just hop on Shopify?
There's
and
multiple
let that-
new breakout
and let that
brands
take
every
out a
year.
lot.
There's a lot of-
was-
I mean,
there's
in almost
so
every
many-
vertical.
Yeah.
and companies are growing. The way the bar has been set with new e-commerce brands is insane. Like best
Oh, yeah.
in class is like, okay, you're doing 200 million in your second year.
I know exactly what you're talking
and,
about. Yeah.
and there's so many examples of this, and it
Yeah.
just
Wow, you
goes
guys
to
are
show-
hard graders doing $200 million and no gong for that.
No,
Look,
no,
I
of
actually
course
think-
of course we're hitting the gong for that.
So let me say something. I brought on my first time I was up on stage. I brought Richard from Mattel. Richard Dixon, who's now CEO of The Gap, because basically what he'd figured out was that Mattel has this treasure trove of IP in their vault, and he was like commercializing all of it. And so it was amazing that a company from 1945, I think, was basically dominating. The next year, I brought Cat Cole from AG1.
Oh yeah.
And obviously you guys know the story well, but one SKU, $600 million, right? Like unbelievable.
Another gong.
Another gong.
I mean, this could be a lot of gongs in this one. And then last year I brought someone Sarah Foster from Favorite Daughter, who's been on the show, who effectively, I mean, Sarah and Aaron created a hit Netflix show to sell more apparel and succeeded with it. So this idea that, I think one major thing, if you look at all of these different incredible brands, what they've done is they didn't just take a bigger piece of an existing pie. They effectively were TAM creators. I mean, shapewear existed. There were companies like Spanx out there, but the way that Kim and Emma built, Skims is totally different what Spanx is. It is like almost like a cool version of an old school product. And then we announced 4 big things, which I'm very proud of. The first is that it's fairly clear.
Sorry, John. Something went down the wrong pipe.
It's crazy. This show is so unhinged. Also, it's the end of the show, I think, right? So it gets more unhinged as it goes.
I'm like 5 Diet Cokes deep at this point, so anything could happen.
Anyways,
I haven't
continue. I didn't. John was doing such a good job keeping it together.
You got me.
That's okay. That's no problem.
Sorry.
So the first thing we announced was actually Sundar announced it yesterday on stage, but with Google, we are making it possible for every agent to connect to every single merchant. We created this protocol called the Universal Commerce Protocol, which effectively is this universal language. It's open sourced so that all merchants can speak directly to every single one of the agents. And the best way to explain it is, up until now, it was really just about like a single transaction. So I can buy something on ChatGPT or Gemini or Microsoft.
It was like a
Copilot.
single. It could only do like a single item at that time. It couldn't really.
But there's no
cart.
concept of loyalty or subscription or bundling or if it's furniture, for example, please don't ship it to me on Thursday. I'm not home Thursday. Send it Friday. So this idea of creating this universal protocol that we co-developed with Google means that now merchants can actually tell these agents exactly how to show their products on these agentic tools, and it should be as good as it is on the online store. So that was a really, really big one. The second thing we announced also with Google is that now we're actually expanding. You can sell everywhere commerce is happening from an agentic perspective. So we're going beyond the agentic storefronts of just ChatGPT, which is what we said in Q3. Now it's also we're going to be working with Gemini with AI mode in Google search and also with Copilot. And maybe the last one, which I wouldn't bring up on any other show than TBPN, is that we're actually bringing agentic commerce to every brand, whether or not they're on Shopify. So if you're not on Shopify, but you want to have your product syndicated and indexed, you can do so with our agentic plan. And that seems to be the talk of the show, which is I think it's amazing.
Very interesting. Right. Because that's
nice ecosystem. I like that.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Cool.
I mean, if you're going to, I think if agentic is going to do what a lot of us think it's going to do from a commerce perspective, you have to give consumers all the brands. We obviously want them all on Shopify, but there's some brands that want to participate now, but it may take some time for them to migrate over. So this idea of opening up to anyone, we think is a big opportunity.
Very cool. Walk me through the customer experience journey that might shift over this year. We were following the agentic commerce thing so closely that we were cheering for ads in ChatGPT back in June when they were kind of like, maybe we'll do it. We were hoping that Black Friday would be the day that people were purchasing things in LLMs. Didn't quite happen yet. It's still in the experimental mode. I was using the shopping feature in ChatGPT to do shopping
John's
research.
Saying we want the commerce fast takeoff.
But I'm wondering the early adopters, is this going to be a more techie community that's buying their next TV in an LLM? Do you think it'll jump straight to the Skims and the Takovas category first? Like, how do you see this
look at you with all your
rolling
direct
out?
to consumer brands. Way to go.
I got it.
A couple things. I think it'll likely be something that like most people use some of the time and some people use most of the time. I don't think it's going to cross the threshold of most the way e-commerce does now.
It's just going to take time.
It's going to take some time.
Get there.
I do think, though, that these are all in very, very small numbers. But if you look at the velocity, I was asked as I was coming on stage today to do the keynote. The keynote after me was the CEO of PepsiCo, and he said, "Oh, last year you talked about." I asked you if agentic was overhyped, and you said it's underhyped. And he said, well, he said, do you still believe it? I said, well, if you actually look January 2025, the last NRF to this NRF, we've actually seen a 14x increase in orders to Shopify stores coming from some sort of agent. Now, that doesn't mean the transaction
dropping
happened
off the link.
Wherever it was, they may be going to the online store, but 14x is dramatic, and it's on a very small base. We processed 90 billion, last quarter, so it's a small base still. But I think it's going to ramp up quickly. What I think is really cool is I think you're going to see companies that are going to actually have these drops. I think once you start seeing these, for example, last night I did an NRF event with Tom Sachs, who is the designer behind the Mars Yard 3 shoes, which I think is the coolest sneaker in the world. He runs Nike Craft. Imagine he actually dropped something directly on one of the agentic applications. Now you obviously have people that go there specifically for it. You now may decide, okay, that experience is pretty good. I'm now going to book my entire ski trip, everything I need for my ski trip directly in the application. So once you have a good experience, I think the actual friction reduces. You'll keep having it over and over again. But the thing that we felt was missing, and this is the reason why I think this UCP protocol is so important, is it was very difficult to do merchandising inside of these applications. And this protocol allows you to do a lot more of that. You can say, back to Cat Cole and AG1, it's obvious that anyone who studies the company, subscriptions play a huge role in the AG1 business model. Well, up until UCP happened, you couldn't actually do subscriptions. Now you can. Or this idea of bundling, for Gymshark, it's a huge part of their business is if you buy these, you'll also buy these as well. You can do that as well. So I think all of these things are sort of in line with creating a much more delightful experience in the chat. And I think ultimately what it leads to is this will be merit-based shopping, which will be different than I think some of the traditional retailers who were kind of leaning on their balance sheets to spend money on ads. You can't really game the system in that way. You actually have to be, from a context perspective, the right product for the right consumer.
How do you think creative assets will change or maybe stay the same? I've noticed that a lot of LLMs, when you pull a link, it'll actually hydrate that link with an image of the product that you're looking at. I imagine that a lot of people were previously thinking, well, everything's going to collapse down to text. I just need the facts and the data. But now maybe the creative, the photography, the videos, that actually just gets pulled into the chat apps that folks are using and it stays important. How are you thinking about that evolving?
I think you're not going to, the idea of SEO won't exist in agentic because, again, it's merit-based and it's mostly based on the context history you've had. But I do think, though, you're going to have, these brands are going to have people at their companies who are thinking a lot about consistent updates to UCP, consistent updates to the catalog. So they may pull something off the catalog and say, we don't want to sell it anymore this way. So I think there's going to be, I don't know if they're going to be actual jobs, but there's going to be people inside of the company, potentially in the merchandising department, who say, actually, the way that we want to sell this, the way we want to describe this to these agents is a particular way. And then because of UCP and because of Shopify catalog, it gets easily disseminated across every single one of these agentic applications. So the experience just gets better and better. I think you have to be a little bit of a techno optimist. You guys obviously are certainly there as I am, to believe that even if the experience is not incredible right now, it's likely just going to get better at this ridiculous pace. Yeah.
Are the folks that you talk about, the brands that you talk to, the leaders of those brands, excited about ads coming to chat surfaces? It feels like new unexplored territory whenever there's a new ad product. That's opportunity for fast-moving brands. But what are they worried about? What are they excited about? What's the mood?
Most of the excitement is actually around this idea of is there a potential for this to level the playing field? Meaning, if I've done a bunch of research historically on agentic application, about James Purse or about Tom Sachs or about the stuff that I love, the brands that I love, and then I'm going on a hiking trip, it probably should not show me a generic pair of boots. It should probably show me On Running, because it knows to some extent that I actually favor direct-to-consumer brands or more modern retail brands as well. So the excitement actually is around is this going to introduce more brands that otherwise are unknown to more people? Or True Classic Tee, for example, which if you're looking for a black T-shirt, I suspect on a search engine, you're not going to see True Classic come up that much, but it's an incredible product. And ultimately, it can be found on these agentic tools in a way that it probably couldn't historically. That seems to be a lot of the excitement. The other excitement is e-commerce as a percentage of total retail is still sub 20%. You've heard that, literally, you hear that at the show all the time, that people are like, well, we're inside the Shopify booth now, and people that are more traditional say, well, when's this going to eclipse 25%? There is a chance, there is a school of thought that says that one of the things that agentic might do is increase that penetration rate at a faster clip, kind of a la, COVID did, because people that may not be big e-commerce consumers may be searching for recipes on ChatGPT, and through that process may end up actually starting to buy stuff there as well. So that could be exciting too.
The other thing is, like, I think some of the time you go to a retail store, you're going because you want to have a conversation about the product in a way that you just don't get with a website. A website is like a beautiful catalog, and if you go around in the right order and you look at the FAQ and maybe you talk with support and all that, and hopefully they respond quickly and actually give you the insight, like, then you can get to the purchase decision. But so a lot of people will just be like, I'll just drive by the store and get it. But I feel like LLMs can provide that. They can give people understanding on a subject or a category or a specific product that gives them the confidence to make a purchase, right? And so,
well, actually, I'll go one step further. I think it's actually a better version of that because it's an unbiased discussion, an unbiased conversation. I mean, the bias is based on your context history and based on merit, as opposed to being based on, what spiff is that particular salesperson getting today in a commission structure. So it does, it's so cheesy, of course, but like when I describe it to like my mother, where this is going, I explain that this may very well be the greatest personal shopper in the history of retail, who knows everything about you, knows your sizes, in certain, in European fashion, it's this size, but in American it's like that, knows where you're located, knows where you travel to, and can provide this unbiased, objective recommendation. And then once you build in these you build in checkout, which we're doing with our agentic storefronts, right into the chat, it becomes this really delightful experience.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
I think it will be, the most transformative year for the way online commerce happens.
How can we follow the numbers here?
Should we be I can keep coming on and telling you the numbers. I will tell you that I did say on stage with 5,000 people about an hour ago that I do think like this is the goal. This is a golden age of retail, and I think you're going to see brands. There are brands right now that none of us have heard of that in 6 months from now we'll be like, I can't believe we didn't know that brand existed. And I think that type of velocity, there's going to be so many more of these Skims and Gymsharks and Alo Yogas and Vioris and Tecovas and AG1s and favorite, we know these brands because we kind of live in this world. It's what we're interested in. But for the most part, most consumers don't know. And I think they may end up knowing them a lot more readily through the agentic evolution. And Shopify wants to power the whole thing.
Yeah, it's going to be so fascinating following this ramp relative to mobile in previous booms, or
that's right, or actually social commerce be another one, because there was uncertainty around it, and then ultimately, actually, social is a wonderful.
Yeah, there were a lot of
discovery.
Experiments where you'd be able to shop under YouTube videos or under Facebook marketplaces,
concurrently as well.
And
it turned out it was a great place.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. It was a great place for discovery, but the transaction still took place on the online store.
Yeah,
this is different because the transaction happens embedded.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to follow. I think we're in for a fast takeoff. It's going to be a good year. And a great time to be in business and a great time to be at Shopify. So congratulations on all this success.
Thank you very much. You guys are the best. Thank you for having me on. And I like this live broadcast from wherever.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Going to be a massive year.
Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon, Harley.
Cheers.
Goodbye. And their other partner, we got to tell you about Gemini 3 Pro. Google is powering all of that. It's Google's most intelligent model yet, Gemini 3 Pro. State-of-the-art reasoning, next-level vibe coding, and deep multimodal understanding. You can build right there.
We talked about this last week.
Yes.
California state reservoir levels are now at 130% of normal, holding 7 trillion gallons of water. It's remarkable. Ali Bell says, God wants us to feed Claude. And every model, every data center, there's plenty of water to go around.
And Ashley had the same idea. Ashley Vance says, God is rewarding us for building AI. All the water for people are super happy. Tyler, you have some breaking news?
So earlier on the show, I was reading into the Jack Clark blog. Yes. I was like, maybe Jack Clark is pointing to something that
space data centers?
Anthropic's going to build space data centers. I posted that. He responded, put me in the truth zone. He said, no, you should not be reading into this or any anthropic grand strategy. And he totally ratioed me.
Oh, wow. Got
So
destroyed.
pretty brutal, but
Wow.
Brutal mogging.
Brutal
mogging.
Oh, wow.
So no anthropic data centers
in space.
in
Well,
the
I
near
mean,
term.
it's funny. We were talking to Andrew from Cerebras, and I was kind of giving him the layout. Like I'd heard from other people that that Cerebras would be a unique beneficiary of space data centers if it happens, and he was like, "Nah, it's not really on my roadmap in the next 3 to 5 years." But we will see. Everything could be pulled forward if there's new advances there. Space, payload to orbit comes way down. There's a bunch of ways that could be exciting. But
Hadrian
all over.
raised additional capital
Oh,
at a
yeah.
$1.6 billion valuation. Their Series C2. This was the whole team. Love to see it. They got T. Rowe Price, Altimeter D1, Stepstone.
We got to get Chris back in the
1789 Founders Fund, Lux Capital, A16Z 137.
Delian Company.
All
early.
All the absolute boys back
what
in.
A run from Chris Power.
What else we got? This post here from Horse Hater.
Horse Hater
went very viral yesterday. I didn't like this post. The whole post is horses. Don't like them.
Boo! We love horses here. Horse Hater was asked why, and Horse Hater replies, "They are evil creatures. I don't know that I know that there is only malice in their hearts."
Completely false.
Fake news.
Just exposing
Why
yourself
is there no
for not
community note
spending time.
Why is there no community note
we should
on this?
community note this.
I'm going to write a community note right now. I'm going to get kicked out of the program if I do this.
Horse Hater hates horses. Huge surprise.
Oh,
Alexis
you like this
Ohanian
one?
says is sharing an article. Luxury watch prices hit a 2-year high in the secondary market, partially due to, and maybe almost fully due to tariffs.
Oh yeah, tariffs were a big part of the
So
story.
if you like spending more money on
also,
watches,
the show is probably doing a lot.
If you like
of work.
spending more money on watches, you'll love tariffs.
Yes.
But Alexis says a great anti-AI bet I've been making is in human craftsmanship, human excellence. Collectibles will keep thriving. So if you needed needed a reason to buy another watch, this is it.
This is it. But it's interesting because he frames it as an anti-AI bet. It's sort of an anti-AI bet in that it's not a beneficiary of AI, but it's still it's a very AGI pilled bet in the sense that in a moment when AI is accelerating, maybe humans' craftsmanship is more valuable than ever, and that it's sort of an anti-slop, but it's still aligned with a bullish view on AI broadly. So he's not saying I don't think AI is going to work, so I'm buying watches. He's saying AI will work, and so I'm buying watches.
Yeah, I mean humanoids are going to have to be stunting.
They will. They will need something on the wrist of your humanoid, and why not an FP Journe or a Patek Philippe?
Well, yeah. So it's interesting. Watches, Veblen goods, right? More desirable as they get more expensive.
Yep.
That means that if a robot can make a Swiss watch, like right now, Rolex might cost $2,000 to make, right?
Yeah.
Some parts are automated, some is handcrafted, and suddenly Rolex can make the watch for $50 just due to automation. They're not automatically going to say like, okay, let's bring the prices down, right? Because the price is part of the product.
Yep.
So I do think
There is a little bit of a potential scoop here. Bobby Goodlatte replies to Alexis Ohanian here and says, "Yep, I love that both Zuck, we all knew Zuck is into watches, and Sam Altman are both into watches. Shows that they still value handcrafted objects." I didn't know that Sam Altman was into watches. It makes sense. He's into cars. We know that, but
he likes to
what's
double.
on
Does he
the
do
wrist.
like a Jacob and Co on each wrist?
Truthfully, I've not seen a photo of Sam with a hitter on the wrist. I've seen him in the Koenigsegg. I've seen him in the McLaren F1. I know that there's a car collection there, but I haven't seen anything hit the timeline of a wrist check. But maybe 2026 is the year of the Sam Altman wrist check. I'm sure his PR team would love that going out on the internet. But I would support it, and I will fight for you. I will be your strongest soldier, Sam. If you want to drop a little photo on the Instagram of whatever's on your wrist. Anyway, fantastic show.
Great
Anything
show,
else you wanna
folks.
go
Great
through?
show, folks. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
Well, there's one last scoop that we should talk about is from Kylie Robison over at Core Memory with Ashley Vance.
She's got
over there
another
now.
scoop?
No, this was just from the weekend. We didn't talk about this, but XAI staff has been using Anthropic's models internally through Cursor until Anthropic cut off the startup's access this week. Everyone's using Anthropic, apparently. So this went viral, got 7,000 likes.
I think at this point, if you are a lab and you haven't had your access to Anthropic cut off, polish up your resume. Because clearly they're just going to do this to any company that is a meaningful threat.
Yeah, there's another dynamic where you can be using the model because you think it's good, but you can also be trying to distill the model, because if there's good data that can be pulled out, you might just say, okay, we want this capability that's uniquely available at this model endpoint, so let's grab that. There's a whole bunch of reasons why this could be happening, but it is dramatic. Tyler.
I was just going to say that was like the original DeepSeek controversy. People thought they were distilling from ChatGPT.
Yeah, GPT.
Before we go, I got to give a shout out to Cooper in the chat. Every single day when the market closes, he comes in and he says, "Time to like the stream."
I love it.
And,
thank you so much.
It's a movement. It's a movement.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for leaving us
We
5
love
stars
you.
on Apple Podcasts
We'll
and
be back
Spotify.
tomorrow. We can't
And thank
wait.
you for subscribing to our newsletter at tbpn.com. We will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Just one more sleep.
Goodbye.